Hey guys, welcome to Pocket Saga. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Ash became World Monarch and had Harem, Part 1. This story is Timeless Wonders by the respected author Lupin. Make sure to show some love for their work. Before starting, if you are interested in Pokemon fanfictions, you can consider subscribing this channel and like this video that keeps me motivated to upload more. Now let's dive in. Naranja Academy, Mesagoza, Paldea. Dear Diary, it's me again, Penny. Well, I suppose I'm the only who writes you, right? Whatever. Today marks the 8th day since I met Ash, a week and a day. Might as well give you a little recap. Well, I was skipping school like most of the time and I heard this big ruckus on one side of the road. Team Star causing chaos as always, but it wasn't just that. Someone was fighting them and it seemed like they were having trouble handling him. And there was him with his Pikachu, though I couldn't see Ash clearly at first with all the dust and Pokemon being sent flying. The grunts didn't even stand a chance, and while Mela gave him a decent battle, Ash still beat her without much trouble. The fight was over, they ran away, and when I finally got a clear view of him I recognized him at once. I've seen him in TV after all. He defeated Leon and became the World Monarch, but he wasn't acting as such. We had a talk and we both introduced ourselves, HMMP. I think I even impressed him. "Hey there, you okay?" he asked. Why yeah, Sorry about that ruckus, but those people were bothering some trainers. I had to get in the way. Name's Ash Ketchum, and you are? PP Penny, my name is Penny, she shouted. Oh, you're a girl. Ash said. Why yeah, wait, you thought I was a boy? Penny asked. You do notice I'm wearing a skirt, right? I don't judge. I told him that I knew who he was, so I asked him what was he doing in a place like that. From what he told me, winning against Leon somewhat confused him. He's now wondering what is he supposed to do after all that. Like, he's the very best trainer in the world. But is he actually a Pokemon master now? I'm still not sure if that's even a real title. But if he is, then what now? He doesn't feel any different, and in the end it is just a title. So, is there really a meaning in that? Well, continuing. That was Ash's first day in Paldea. He told me that he had never heard about the region until yesterday and that he wanted to see what it had to offer. Of course, he's the type of person that travels to a completely unknown region literally the next day after hearing about it. Whatever, despite winning with rather ease against Mela and her crew. His Pikachu was a bit injured after the fight, so I offered myself to guide him to the closest town. Since he obviously didn't have any idea of where he was, we ended up in Artazan, and right after Pikachu was healed he went directly to the gym and challenged Brassius. I thought it'd be a good idea to go and watch, so I went alongside him. Brassius accepted a 1v1 since Ash only brought his Pikachu to Paldea. Brassius went with his Sudowoodo and it seemed like Ash had the advantage until Brassius terastallized it. Ash had no idea of the gimmick, he didn't know what was going on. His reaction was kinda cute honestly, and Brassius managed to win. I was the one who had to explain Ash everything and, my lord, was he confused, but I think he finally understood the whole thing. So you can change your Pokemon's type mid-battle? Isn't that kinda like cheating? Like what you did in your battle with Brock, EH. We spent some more time together and he started asking questions about me. I guess that was fair since I pretty much knew everything that there was to know about him, though there wasn't much to tell about me. Well, there isn't much to tell about me. I'm a trainer, but that's pretty much it, nothing interesting. But you seem to know a lot about terastallize, Ash said. Ash, everyone does that in the region, is just basic knowledge, she replied. And you'll seriously need to get adjusted to it if you're going to take on the gyms. Penny, what are you doing right now? What do you mean? I mean, you said you were a trainer, but are you challenging the gyms too? No, you see, it's complicated. I don't specialize in anything at the moment, neither I'm following a concrete path. Guess I'm just wandering around. How about we travel together then? And that was when it happened. Travel together. I know a lot of people do that, they say it's safer and all that, but I've never been a people person and it really surprised me nonetheless. Like, we had met 6 hours ago. Is he really willing to give that kind of trust to someone who's pretty much a stranger? Am I willing to do that too? I mean, yes, I was. I'm traveling with him now, aren't I? But it was still a little weird, though it seemed like a good reason to skip school, but still. Whoa, you want me to travel with you? Penny asked. I know, kinda sudden. Huh? Ash laughed. But yes, I'd like to. But is it really because of me, or do you just want to use me as some kind of guide? Well, I'm not saying a guide wouldn't be nice, but it is because of you, Penny. You've been showing me kindness and helping me since we met. Even though that was just today. He laughed again. Besides, if you said you're not doing anything, maybe during the travel I could help you find something to do, your own road to take. I guess that's a good point, but what about you? I mean, isn't the World Monarch, I dunno, omnipotent? She asked. Why would the strongest trainer in the world even need partners? Well, I just like to travel in company, he simply answered. Even then. Why me of all people? She continued. I'm sure a lot of people would be better to have as partners. You look a little lonely, Penny. That was what really got me. You look a little lonely. I guess I do. I guess I am. I know that's what everyone thinks of me, but Ash is the first person to ever say it to me directly, and he didn't even say it in a mean way. He sounded a little worried, even like he actually cared. My Plusle and Minun were playing with his Pikachu while we were talking, and once they heard the idea they started to jump around like crazy. So I accepted Ash's offer. Well, it's not like things could get worse than they already were for me, right? And so, it begun. I mean, I thought it was going to be a simple journey, walking around, camping, some battles here and there, but as expected from Ash Ketchum, things don't stay simple for long. The first day of your journey together we met with Professor Sada, and Ash received a Fuecoco from her. Second day we faced off a gang of Pokemon thieves, and after beating them we fed a group of wild Pokemon that they had in some cells. Among those wild Pokemon was a Deerling, who apparently recognized Ash and decided to travel with him. That was also the first time that Ash and I battled together, and I think we did a great job honestly. Plusle and Minun really get along with Pikachu. The third day we met with Mela and Team Star again, but another crew was alongside them. Apparently Mela called them so they could have revenge on Ash. We battled them at the same time, but the leaders started arguing with each other and got distracted enough to give Ash and me an opening and let us win. I'm just glad Mela didn't start talking about me. I don't want Ash to distrust me, and it seems like Mela is rather trying to act like I don't exist. I guess that's for the better. We later met with this Armarouge that apparently saw the fight and was impressed with Ash, so Ash fought him with his Fuecoco, but Armarouge stopped the fight and left. Thought I doubt that's the last time we see it. Fourth day, we return to Arzadon and Ash faces off Brassius again. This time Ash won in a 3-on-3 using Pikachu, Fuecoco and Deerling, but Brassius said that he couldn't give Ash the badge yet, so he asked us to wait until next day, and I kinda felt like someone else was there watching the battle. So FITFH day we meet with Brassius again, and he introduced us to the chairwoman Gita. She gives me super evil vibes, like, her ID literally says, among the region's champions, she reigns supreme as the most skilled trainer of all, reigns supreme. That doesn't sound even suspicious. And she was a bit too close to Ash. She just wouldn't stop talking about how great of a trainer she thinks he is, and she had her gloved polished fingernails all over him. She's totally evil. I'm gonna prove it somehow. Until then, I'll have to protect Ash from her since he's too kind to notice. Why is my partner such a good person? Whatever. She gave Ash a proper introduction to the gyms and wished him luck. Then Brassius gave Ash his badge and we returned to the road. The sixth day. Oddly enough, nothing worth mentioning happened in the sixth day, but I couldn't relax because I was waiting for something. I guess Ash training was a thing, but I just watched. Seems like a good moment to say that I still only have Plusle and Minun. It's a little interesting. My aces and my only Pokemon since I was a kid are the embodiment of teamwork. Yet I have a serious problem with that, but like I said, Ash and I are good battling together. Ash is different. We're different, even if we work together quite well. I'm shy, timid and don't get along with anybody. And Ash is like the opposite of me. Yeah, that sounds like it. And then the seventh day came and, well, that was when he met her. So that day, Professor Sada called Ash to ask for a favor. Her old friend, Clavel, director of the Naranja Academy, somehow learned that Ash was now in Paldea and asked if he could come by and give the students a little demonstration of his power. Ash, being the person he is, obviously agreed, but I still haven't told him that I was skipping school. The whole thing was pretty awkward. When he asked me I couldn't find a good actual reason, so I gave him the classic. I just don't feel like I belong here, and he believed it. Sure, I'm kinda lying, But someone once said that, a lie that makes you happy is worth more than a truth that makes your life bitter. It's not like I do those things anymore. We arrive in Nemona Academy and we are first received by Arvin. He says that he was impressed by Ash's performance against Brassius, but he also told him that there were plenty of other things to do in Paldea apart from challenging the gyms, like the Path of Legends for example, which he offered to tutor Ash in if he ever was interested by it. He told us that Ash would have an exhibition match against gym leader Grusha. He was about to take us with her, him, but... Hey there, Arvin! Nemona suddenly shouted, appearing next to them. Thank you for leading him on his first step, but I'll take care of him from now on. Are you sure? Arvin asked. Of course, leave it to me, she exclaimed. Arvin simply shrugged shoulders and walked away, leaving Ash and Penny with Nemona. Hi, my name is Nemona Xantho, she exclaimed, taking a detailed look of Ash. It's a pleasure to meet you. You must be the rookie who I was told would arrive in the academy today, right? What? Ash asked. Wait, you don't know who he is? Penny asked. He's a new face who I'll teach all I can, Nemona said. You see, rookie, I'm a bit of an upperclassman here and I live to guide new students who enter the academy. But they tend to run away from you, Penny said. They say I'm too energetic. Nemona exclaimed to then laugh out loud. That's okay, they can't handle my style. I'm not for everyone, but I'm sure you and I will get along, right, rookie? I'm not right? Hey there, Penny. Nemona interrupted him again. Resurrected from the dead, huh? I'm starting to wish I had stayed with them though, Penny answered. Are you two friends? Ash asked. Yes, Nemona said with a smile. No, Penny answered. Oh, well, come with me, rookie. I'll show you the place, Nemona said. I appreciate tea. Don't you worry about a thing. Nemona put a finger over Ash's mouth to silence him. You can trust me, I'll be your reliable guide. I'm sure you'll love the place. I love it myself after all. She giggled. La Academia Naranja con Acción te dará Educación. Nemona suddenly started to sing. Pon attention. Hey que ser el mejor. De cada paso aprender. Tu esfuerzo poner. Y vas a aprender. Muy bien. No olvides nuestro lema. Please shut up. Penny said. Hey, sorry. I speak Spanish when I'm excited, or angry, or surprised, or sad, or... Nemona explained. She does it a lot. Penny said. Very well, I can't wait to show you around, but I can tell you don't trust me yet, so the best way to fix that is with a Pokemon battle, she exclaimed with a Pokeball on hand. Oh, no, Penny sighed and put her Eevee backpack in front of her as a shield. I know this is your first battle, so let's just have fun, rookie, Nemona shouted again. Vamos, Lechonk. She suddenly tossed the Pokeball, but this missed her mark by a lot and ended up bumping into a rock and bouncing back to her forehead. Ouch. Nemona has a bit of trouble tossing Pokeballs, Penny told Ash. That's what her brace is for, but it doesn't always work. Don't worry, I got it, Nemona told them and tossed the Pokeball again, only for it to bounce in the grass and smack Ash on his face. Oh my gosh. Lo siento, she shouted. I'm so sorry, let me just... Nemona walked back to the Pokeball and simply opened it in her hand, releasing a black pig Pokemon. Oh, well, ready for your first battle? Should I just tell her? Ash asked Penny. Let her find out on her own, Penny said. That'll be funnier. Pikachu, Thunderbolt, Ash shouted and his partner jumped from his shoulder to release their signature attack, leaving Lechonk defeated at once. What? Nemona simply asked. This is gonna be great, Penny said to herself while the battle unfolded. Iron Tail, Smoliv, Quick Attack, P-Palmy, Electroweb. No, not Quaxley too. Nemona kneeled defeated with her 4 Pokemon laying knocked out by her side. Que rayos pasa? We done? Penny asked. Well, EHEM. Nemona stood up again and did her best to regain her composure. Though I tried my best, you seem to have beginner's luck. My congratulations, rookie. Could you please let me talk? Ash asked. Here you are, Ash. A teacher in a lab coat walked into the scene. Name's Jack, I'm the biology teacher. Just what have you been doing? Grusha and the rest of the class is eager for your combat. Sorry, Nemona said she was going to show me around first, Ash replied. Wait, You're the one who's going to fight Grusha? Nemona asked. Actually, Nemona, I was looking for you as well, Jack said. Director Clavel wants to see you in his office right now. That's never a good thing to hear, Nemona said. Well, guess I'll leave. Sorry for making you waste your time, rookie. Don't worry, it was nice to meet you, Nemona, Ash said. Same goes for you, she stuttered while Jack guided Penny and Ash. His name is Ash Ketchum, by the way, Penny said to Nemona before leaving. Probably worth a Google. Ash Ketchum. Nemona wondered. Just who is this guy? A few moments later. Could you say that again, Mr. Clavel? Ash Ketchum is ranked as the World Monarch, the #1 trainer in the world. We asked him to come here for an exhibition match against Grusha. Clavel explained. The rookie you were supposed to meet is this girl with the hat. Hi, I'm Juliana and nobody cares. Clavel interrupted and looked at Nemona again. You seriously didn't recognize him? I mean, don't you see the news? No, what for? It's depressing, Nemona shouted. Okay, but you didn't even see the Masters 8 tournament? Clavel asked. You're a trainer and it was like the biggest thing of the year. I prefer to focus on my own training instead of watching some people in capes fighting each other, Nemona shouted again. So, about my introduction to the arcade. Collate, Nemona shouted to Juliana. Well, if I were you, Nemona, I'd go and apologize to Ash. Sure, on my way, Nemona said before running out of Clavel's office. Fine, I'll check the place on my own, Juliana sighed, leaving the office as well. Back with Ash. Iron Tail. Copy. Sea Titan is unable to battle. Pikachu is the winner. The victory is for Ash, Jack shouted as the referee while all the students watching the battle cheered on. I missed the battle, Nemona said between pants after running all the way there. But he won. Arg, of course he did. The strongest trainer in the world, huh? You have an interesting battle style, Grusha said to Ash as he returned Sea Titan. I'll be looking forward to have an official battle with you in my gym. Thanks, Grusha. And sorry again for thinking you were a girl, Ash said. You're not the first nor the last, please don't worry, Grusha said before leaving. Nemona then tried to reach Ash, but the students watching the battle all surrounded him with either questions or wanting autographs, and when the crowd started to disperse, Nemona noticed Ash was nowhere to be seen. What the hey, Jack? Where did Ash go? She asked. Well, he left. He'll be staying with Penny in her campus room for the moment, Jack answered. Hey, but boys and girls aren't allowed to share rooms in the campus, Nemona exclaimed. He's the World Monarch. Are you seriously going to tell him what he can and can't do? Jack asked. What's the worst that could happen? I'm sure it'll be good for Penny even. You know she has never gotten a roommate, and that rule of boys and girls not sharing rooms always seemed a bit weird, you know? Like, are you assuming that 2 boys or 2 girls can't? Stop it, Nemona shouted. I'll be going there. Later then. Jack waved at her with a smile. The next day. All right, Penny, I'll go get some breakfast. Ash was about to leave the room, but when he opened the door he found Nemona sleeping in the floor. Nemona? Hello. She shouted suddenly, standing up. Did you spend the night in front of our door? Penny asked, still in her pajamas with Pikachu in her arms. Yes, I guess, Nemona said, looking around. I didn't know if Ash had jet lag or something, or at what time he sleeps, and I didn't want to bother you. Or maybe I just kinda couldn't come up with something to say. Or maybe I was too embarrassed to knock the door and decided to wait until any of you came out. So I kinda got tired and fell asleep. I guess this is the part when we ask why, Penny asked. First off, I want to apologize to Ash, Nemona answered. I really didn't know who you were, please forgive me. It's fine, Nemona. Honestly, I kinda prefer when people don't know who I am right off the bat, Ash said. It can get too much of an impression sometimes. Thank you. Now, there's another thing I'd like to ask you, Ash, Nemona said before taking a deep breath. Would you please make me your disciple? A disciple? Ash asked. Listen to me, after learning who you are and the things you've achieved for your age, saying I'm impressed would be an understatement. Just by knowing about you I can tell I still got lots of things to learn, because I'm a person who always aims to the top. That's why people always say I'm too much. But you don't think that, right? I guess I don't, but that's why being under your wing seems like the perfect opportunity. Nemona continued. Please teach me the way to become as strong as you. I know it won't be easy, but I can handle it. Well, this is a bit sudden, Ash answered, embarrassed. As sudden as when you asked me to travel with you? Penny asked with a bit of sarcasm. Maybe, and it's been quite some time since I've played the teacher role with anyone. Don't worry about that. I'm easy to learn, Nemona assured. And I promise I won't get in your way, 'cause I'm gonna be right behind it. I'll always be one step behind you to have your back and learn from each of those steps. Wait, halt right there. Ash is not going to stay here in the academy, Penny said. He's going to explore the Paldea region. I know, and I'm willing to follow him, Nemona said. After all, the more time I spend here, the more I feel like I've reached my limit as a trainer. I need to experience something else in order to keep growing, and I know that's what my Pokemon need as well. When I look at Ash, something just pings in my head and my chest. I look at him and I sincerely see a guy that's got his act together, somebody who has the answer. The answer to what? Ash asked. Well, that's something we'll find out on the way. Nemona smiled at him. I'll follow you anywhere you go, Mr. Ash. Let's show this whole world what we got, together. Well, that all sounds nice, but, Mr. Ash asked. Well, you're obviously my superior, so I feel like I should refer to you with some respect, Nemona replied. But you were younger than me, so I guess Mr. is a bit awkward. How about Sir? Lord? A bit too much, Ash said. Patron? Nemo? Senpai. Nemona stuttered with a blush. Just Ash will do, he assured. All right then, Master Ash, Nemona shouted. Just Ash. Ash Sensei. Nemona continued. But before I leave with you, I have to inform the academy staff and prepare some things. I'll be back in a second. Nemona suddenly slammed the door closed, but then opened it back again. Actually, I think you should come with me, kinda to confirm it, you know? I don't want them to think I'm slacking. Sure, I'll go with you, Ash answered. You coming, Penny? Wait, I haven't even asked if you're okay with Nemona joining us. Please say yes, Nemona shouted. Penny, please, I'm your best friend. No, you're not, Penny answered. We aren't friends at all, I just borrowed a pen from you once. Please let me go with you too, I'll do anything you ask me to, Nemona continued. Anything? Penny asked with a smile. Anything, Nemona nodded. Very well, Ash, she can come with us, Penny said. Yes. Nemona jumped in the air and then took Ash by the hand, dragging him with her as she ran away. We'll be right back. Back in present time. And that's what happened. Penny sighed while she finished writing. Someone then knocked the door of the room and she closed her diary to then go and open it, finding Ash. Didn't I give you a spare key? Penny asked. You did, but I supposed you were still here, so I preferred to knock, Ash answered. I'm just trying to respect your privacy, wouldn't want to come in at an inappropriate moment, like when you're changing or stuff. It's not like I have anything to see, Penny said. Don't talk like that, Penny, I'm sure you got a lot to stare at, Ash answered. That sounded a bit wrong, Ash said with a blushed face. Why yes, it did. Penny nodded, blushing as well. Would it offend you if I take it back? Probably, so I'll let it slide. To change topic, Penny, can you see without your glasses? Barely, she answered, walking a few steps back and then taking off her glasses. You're pretty much a blur from there, you'd need to get closer if you want me to get a good look. How about this close? Ash walked to her and put their foreheads together so Penny could get a clear view of him again. Too close, Penny shouted with a massive blush, and Ash simply separated from her with a smile on his face, letting Penny put on her glasses again. Thank you. Well, like I said, I'm pretty much blind without these. I've considered contact lenses, but they're a bit awkward to put on and clean and all that. Well, I think you look better with your glasses on. Really? We're not gonna pull a "the glasses gotta go" trope? Nope, I think you look great, Ash answered, making her blush again. Thank you. Penny smiled. Hey, it's a little funny, you mentioned being shy, timid and all that, but you don't seem to have problems talking with me. That's because it's just very easy to talk with you, Ash, Penny answered. You're easy to get close to, you know? You make me feel relaxed enough to open myself. It makes me happy to hear that. Sure, so, where's Nemona? Preparing the things she needs for the travel. Ash answered. I'll go get that breakfast. Do you want me to bring you anything? I'll catch up to you in a second. All right then. Ash said and then closed the door, leaving Penny alone in the room. So now I have to deal with Nemona all day. Great. She sighed again, opening her diary. This adventure with Ash has been really. I don't think I even have a proper way to describe it. Everything changed after I met him. My whole life got rearranged in an instant, not in a bad way, of course. I want to stay with him. I want to keep changing who I was. I don't want to feel lonely anymore. Thank you, Ash. Thank you being my friend. And sorry, Nemona. Sorry for falling in love with the same man as you. Somewhere in the Paldea region. Dear Diary, it's Penny again. It's now been exactly 1 month since I met Ash and we started traveling together, which also means 3 weeks since Nemona joined us and 1 week since her joined us. Sure, I know I also kinda wrote the same about Nemona, but well, Nemona hasn't been as bad as I expected her to be. She's kind of a female version of Ash. I guess I can withstand that. And she also helps me with most of the things I ask her, but our new member, Iono. Oh, for heaven's sake, I'm so done. So, to recap. She's a famous streamer and influencer and the 3rd gym leader that Ash fought here in Paldea. She recognized him as the World Monarch and she pretty much forced us to stay in Levincia, even cutting her battle with Ash at the middle for the sake of the views and then ending it the next day. It was so ridiculous. She spent the whole day taking selfies with Ash and the fact that Nemona is her fan didn't help at all. Then, when the fight is over and we're finally going to leave the city, I'll tag along with you, people, Iono shouted to them in the outskirts of the city. What? Ash asked. Really? Nemona stuttered. Oh, hell no. Penny shouted. That's RIGHT, fellas. The one and only Iono Enigma will be part of your crew now. Yes. Nemona shouted. No, Penny continued. But what about your gym? Ash asked. Oh, my gym isn't a place. My gym is wherever I am. I'll take on the challengers we encounter on the road. You see, my stream is great and all, but it has always been here in Levincia and I don't want my fans to get bored and think it's monotone, dull, tedious or any other fancy word for boring. I need a new angle, and moving around sounds perfect. And who better to go along with than the World Monarch? Really? That's exactly why I'm traveling with Ash, Nemona exclaimed. I also wanted new experiences and I knew he'd be the right person to help me. You get it, Nemo, Iono winked at her. No puede ser, she gave a nickname, Nemona squealed. I'll stream our journey, battles and everything. It'll be super fun, Iono continued. You're all invited to the Iono zone. You don't know how long I've been wanting to hear you say that, Nemona said. I'm so excited. Penny sighed uninterested. But are you sure you can get into a travel? Well, dressed like that? Ash asked. Oh, that can be fixed, Iono smiled. What's that over there? She pointed behind the group and they all looked back. I don't see anything. Ash said, and once the trio looked at Iono again, she had her yellow jacket wrapped around her waist, while wearing a light blue blouse, a pink skirt and white shoes. How's this? My casual attire, she said. Of course I'm not letting my streamer style get scrassied in the road, I'll put it on only when I need it. How did you change clothes so fast? Penny asked. We turned around for like 3 seconds. You're so cool, Nemona shouted. Is seriously no one going to question what just happened? Penny shouted again. Damn, you must be the soul of the parties, Iono said while her magnemite flew around her 2 ponytails and joined them into a single one. Tell me, Captain, am I in? Captain? Ash asked. Right, I guess that's me. Well, I'm fine with it, but... Yes, of course you can come with us, Nemona shouted. I can't believe I'll get to travel alongside my idol, Cabron. Well, that's 2 of 3 already, so I guess it's a yes, Iono said. But what do you think? What was your name again? I'm Penny. She trailed off, and I think our group is fine as it is. Well, it'll be even better from now on, Iono replied. You know what they say, 3 heads are better than 2. She smiled while singing the last part. But there's 4 of us now, Penny said. If you bit off more than you can chew, Ash continued. Wait, don't tell me you're all about to sing, Penny said. But ain't just anyone we let in our crew. Nemona followed them. Please don't. You gotta skippity bop bop bo up bop 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 biddly diddly do. Iono, Ash and Nemona sang together while Penny held her head with a desperate look in her face. Thank you, Ash. This is gonna be the best journey ever, she exclaimed, hugging him while her Rotom phone took a picture of them. And my views are gonna skyrocket, she thought. Abrazos. Nemona exclaimed, hugging the two while Penny rolled her eyes. Sure, because 2 extroverts against me wasn't enough, now there's 3 of them, and Iono is by far the worst. She's perky, vivacious and over the top. She's been recording every single second since she joined us, and those goddamn magnemites in her head, she insists that they're just hair clips. That don't actually clip anything when you think about it, since they can go flying away and her hair stays the same. But they're always staring at me. All the time. And nobody notices it. And then when I want to point it out, those weird things turn around like nothing happens and everyone says I'm exaggerating. I'm just tired, but Ash. Well, what can I say? He's been getting along with her, just like he gets along with anyone. He has been joining her in her streams. They're doing some kind of podcast or something right now. I dunno about those things. And of course, Ash still trains a lot with Nemona, both themselves and with their Pokemon. It's a little funny how Nemona treats him as his superior despite Ash being younger than her, and I'm kinda left behind between all that. Sure, Ash and I talk a lot and he spends the time he can with me, but I don't have one exact thing to do with him. Like, Nemona's always turning to battles with him. Iono seems to know how to make the most of the status that Ash and her more or less share as celebrities, but I don't have something specifically in common with Ash. I think I'm jealous. Is that what I'm feeling? Why can't I just be like them? More expressive, more caring, more, kawaii. What am I even doing? To be honest, thing is that I've been a little silent and distant from Ash and I don't want to be. Hey, Penny. Iono shouted, suddenly bursting inside Penny's tent. Arg. Do you mind? This is my personal space, Penny exclaimed. Whatcha doin', huh? Iono asked, suddenly grabbing Penny's diary. That's mine. Penny threw herself over Iono, but she moved aside just in time to avoid her and made Penny fall face first to the floor. So, a diary? That's totes adorable, Iono exclaimed as she began to read it. So you've been writing our whole adventure with Ash, just like I've been recording it. Guess you and I are not so different. That is not the same, Penny shouted, taking back the book. I record our adventures because they're important to me. You only do this for some stupid internet points. You're just using Ash as a tool to increase your popularity. Listen, I'm not going to lie, this was solely for the stream at first. Iono admitted. But I've grown to like him, he's just so charming. Ash and I have shared some moments and I really enjoy spending time with him, and with Nemona, even with you, and this whole thing of traveling like a normal person is great, sure. I loved being swarmed by fans in Levincia, but even I had to take break from that. Ash told me that's more or less what he's been feeling since he became the World Monarch, which is the reason he decided to travel here in Paldea. Where's Ash? Penny asked. Our podcast is done, so he went to train a bit with Nemona. Iono answered. What about you? Would you like to have an streamed battle with me? Bellabolt is out there playing with your Plusle and Minun after all. No, thanks, I don't understand the appeal of posting everything you do online. It's just to show everyone that you're proud of the things you do, Iono answered. It's better than being like you, always boring, always sad, always adjusting your glasses to act like you're smarter than everyone. Like, can you even smile? Of course I can, but I prefer to not go into those stupid mannerisms you tend to do. Come on. What is so bad about being a little silly from time to time? I am all for a good laugh, but you cannot be serious for one single moment. Is that a challenge? Iono asked. Hey, wait, I could make it a challenge. Let's get serious challenge. Leave me alone. Penny pretty much pleaded. How about just a selfie then? Iono asked. Just how many pictures of yourself do you really need? Penny asked. I mean, you're basically making the same expression in all of them. Would it kill you be more friendly? I only want to socialize. But I don't think we should. Penny answered. Fine, let me find another topic. Iono thought in silence for a moment. I got it, Did you know my fans started some ship wars regarding us? Ship wars? Penny asked. Yup. Listen to this. 90% of my viewers think I'm gonna end up being Ash's girlfriend, the 5% are rooting for Nemona. The 4.5% are rooting for a harem ending, and then the 0.5% think you'll keep him to yourself. Does Ash know you're doing this kind of things behind his back? Does Ash know you're writing this kind of things behind his back? Iono asked, holding the diary again as she walked out of the tent. What? How did you even? There's plenty of interesting stuff here, must I say? Iono laughed as she kept reading and Penny walked out of the tent. A few things about you past crew and your little feelings. Sorry, Nemona. Sorry for falling in love with the same man as you. That's quite dramatic. I mean, sure, I guessed it with Nemona. But you're so unexpressive that I would have never guessed you liked Ash as well. Give me that back, Penny told her with an aggressive stare. Yes, I could, but I already know everything. Iono grinned again. I could just tell Ash, right? If you do that, what are you gonna do, huh? Iono interrupted. You're gonna punch me or something? What would Ash think? What would your excuse be? You wouldn't have written this if it wasn't true. You think I can't convince Ash to read this? Hey, I get it now, Penny. Iono continued. That's why you're always so distant. You think you're better than us. You're acting as if you were really our friend, but the truth always comes out in the end. What? Penny stuttered. I'm just kidding, gal. Iono laughed out loud and gave the book back to Penny. Geez, you should have looked at your face. You were so scared. It's fine. We all have our secrets. I'm sure you'll tell Ash when you're ready. Wow. Thanks. I guess I misjudged you. Peeved. It's okay. You think that just cause I'm a streamer I'm something of a give me your money today type of person, right? I do feel bad for the people who give you their money just so you call out their names in your streams. That's their choice. Iono stuck out her tongue. Here you are, people. Ash said, walking to them. Penny, you haven't left your tent all day. Are you feeling okay? Yeah, Ash, I'm fine. She answered. Well, Nemona and I are done training for today. I wanted to start cooking the dinner, but Nemona insisted a lot, so I'll let her do it tonight instead. Ash, she's gonna burn down the whole forest, Penny said. Then I guess I should go with her to make sure that doesn't happen. Iono said, walking away. It seems like you two could use a little chat, right, Penny? What do you mean? Ash asked. Iono simply shrugged shoulders and kept walking to where Nemona was preparing the dinner, leaving Ash and Penny alone. Hey, you sure you're okay? Ash asked. I feel like you and I are talking less and less lately. It's nothing, Ash, but thanks for worrying, Penny replied. Come on, Penny, don't try to fool me. Just tell me what's bothering you, he insisted. Is about Nemona and Iono, right? What? No, of course not. Penny let out a nervous laugh. Maybe. Guess that makes sense. This journey was supposed to be just the two of us at the start. It was, but it's not like I'm going to ask you to kick those two out, Penny said. It's seriously no bother. I've gotten to take a like of Nemona as time has gone by. I'm sure it'll be the same with Iono. Still, sorry if I've been making you feel left behind. I'll try to spend more time with you starting from tomorrow. How does that sound? I appreciate that, but don't act like it's an obligation. It's not like we're in a relationship yet. Yet? Ash asked with a small smile. I said nothing, Penny shouted, blushing. Hasta el fuego. Nemona shouted from afar. Wait, don't do that. Iono exclaimed, and Ash and Penny then heard an explosion. What did I tell you? Penny asked, adjusting her glasses. Yeah, we should go and help them out, Ash replied. A few moments later. You know, there's a reason why Ash has been the one to cook since we started this travel. Penny talked while she treated some small burns over Nemona. And that's because he is the only one out of us that knows how to. Hey, I can cook too. Iono complained while Ash healed her burns. I do streamings while I'm cooking all the time. I'm just used to do it in my own kitchen and not in the outside. Well, you should have thought that before coming with us, Penny said. Like, did you expect us to carry a full folding kitchen or something? It's fine, Penny, I'll start cooking as usual once I'm done here, Ash said. Thank you for taking care of me. Iono smiled at him. How about a selfie? Is that seriously what you're thinking about at the moment? Penny complained. You both could have gotten seriously hurt. Oh, can I join the selfie? Nemona asked. At least wait until I'm done with your burns, Penny said. You know what? Now that the four of us are here, I feel like we could use this moment to get to know each other better, Iono said. Go on guys, ask me anything. Are your teeth real? Penny asked. They sure are. Iono answered to then look at the sides. When did you start as a streamer? Ash asked. Around 5 years ago. It was something small at first, but it has grown a lot since then. What's your favorite video of yours? Nemona asked. Probably my collab with Elisa. It was great having her as my guest and do a fashion show in Levincia. Iono answered. My turn, a question to Ash. What's the craziest adventure you ever had? Well, it's hard to pick one. I've been through so many things that it's quite complicated to say one is the craziest. Though that makes me wonder if we'll have to stop the world from ending too, Nemona said. Not really in the mood to do that honestly, Penny said. Streaming an apocalypse or two would surely get my views high. Iono replied. I have another question, this time for Penny. I never said I was okay with you asking questions. Penny said. Why exactly are you traveling with Ash? Iono asked anyway. What do you mean? Penny asked. I mean, Nemona and I decided to go along with him to kinda expand our horizons. She wanted new battles, I wanted new content, so, what about you? I guess it's because of the way he makes me feel. I've always been much of a lonely loner and spending time with Ash makes me feel like I actually belong somewhere, like I don't have to be alone anymore. Penny answered to then look at him. So, thank you for that. Hey, it's nothing. Ash smiled. Now, a question for Nemona, let me see. How was your first Pokemon battle like? It was great. Nemona answered. It was Pommy and me against our friend Florian and his Farigiraf. We lost, but we gave our all. We really loved it and we both knew for sure that was what we wanted, to continue to fight together and grow stronger as a team. Well, I have one last question. Iono grinned. Ash Ketchum, out of the three of us, who is your favorite? She asked and the three girls stared at him. Oh, no. Ash trailed off. I'll start with the dinner, fine? Wait, you're not going to answer? Nemona asked. I'm kinda curious now as well. Penny said. Go on, Ash, we're waiting, Iono said. To be honest, I think that all, please, don't you with the, you all got your charm, Iono interrupted him. Just be honest, which one of us do you prefer to spend time with? I like to spend time with all of you, you know? As cliché as that sounds. He answered. You all act different and like different things and I enjoy those things. Besides, I've never been a fan of having favorites. Not even for Pikachu. Pika, the mouse complained while playing with the rest of the group's Pokemon. So, to put it clear, I like you all. Ash answered and the three girls blushed. Very well, we're done. Hope the answer satisfied you. I'll start with the dinner. Anybody knows where the pot ended up after the explosion? He asked standing up and leaving the three girls alone. HMMP, he just admitted to like the three of us, Penny said. Yeah, pretty sweet on his part. Nemona added. Look at this, the Harem ending fans just rose up to 15%. Iono said looking at her phone. You've been recording this whole time? Penny shouted while Nemona tried to stop her from hitting Iono who was simply laughing at her. That's all for today. Iono smiled at the stream. Thanks for following us, ladies and gents. Don't forget to favorite and review. Like and comment. The supercharged streamer. Husafotsit. Iono signing off. See ya. Why can't you just respect our privacy? Penny shouted. I personally don't mind, Nemona said. Shut up. 10 minutes earlier. We'll be camping here tonight, Nemona said sitting down in a grassy field next to a lighthouse. Glad we passed Pocopath again just when it was my turn to choose our campsite. Is this really the best spot you could pick? Penny asked. Like, we're really sleeping outside when we could get inside the lighthouse? Well, yes. I used to sleep in this exact place a lot when I was younger. Nemona answered. And why are you suddenly complaining? We sleep outside all the time. It's not me, but Plusle and Minun don't seem comfortable with the place. Penny pointed at the two Pokemon in her head and both of them seemed rather worried. Peeved. Relax, if something comes up we'll fight it together, like we always do, Nemona said. Hey, at least we got quite the atmosphere with that lighthouse over there, Iono said. Time for some selfies, come with me, Ash. Sure, I'm going. Ash answered following her while his Pikachu jumped out of his shoulder and landed in Penny's, taking a closer look to Plusle and Minun. Pie? He asked and both Pokemon shook their heads. Shoo. Something odd is happening here, Penny insisted. You're just being paranoid. As always, Nemona replied. And it's because of that your Pokemon started acting like that as well. Please, Penny, it's a lovely night. Just stare at all the stars. Look, there's even a falling star over there. It's called Shooting Star. Penny replied, taking a glance at the sky. It does look pretty though, bright red, quite unusual. Now you're getting it. Nemona smiled. Wow, it looks bigger and bigger. Yeah, it almost looks like it's falling towards our direction, Penny added. It's coming right to us, isn't it? Nemona asked. Just an average day. Penny sighed. Ash? The two girls shouted, running towards where Iono was taking selfies with him. And that's the good stuff. Iono smiled once they finished. Thanks a lot for joining me in all my sessions, Ash. It's fine, I know it's important for you and everything, Ash answered. Hey, Ash. Iono put down her Rotom phone down for a moment. Now that we're alone, can I ask you something? I guess. Can we kiss? Iono bluntly asked. That's definitely not what I was expecting, Ash replied. Sorry, I know that just came out of nowhere, she answered, hiding her blushing face with the arms of her jacket. But my fans have kinda been asking for it, and you said it yourself that this is very important to me, so, maybe we could, practice. Kinda? So you only want to kiss me for the fans? Ash asked. No, of course not, it's just. Iono simply kept blushing, unable to look at Ash face to face. I won't be using my teeth if that's what worries you. What worries me if that I feel like you're letting you fans decide for you, and that's not good. Ash said, booping her nose. As much as you value their views, comments and all that, your life is yours and yours alone. You have to ask yourself if that's what you truly want. That's not fair. You look too sexy while doing inspirational speeches, Iono shouted to then grab Ash's cheeks. There's something I need to tell you, before Penny and Nemona tell you as well. And what's that? Ash asked with a small smile. Thank you so much for being a real friend, she said to then hug him. For being someone who doesn't care about me only because I'm famous. No need to thank. Ash hugged her as well and then softly kissed her forehead. There, will that please your fans? He asked while Iono blushed profusely after processing that, while the pupils of the Magnemites in her head turned into hearts. I mean, I wasn't recording that, so. Ash. Penny and Nemona called him, and both Ash and Iono looked at them. What's the matter? Ash asked. That is the matter, Nemona shouted, pointing up. Is that a meteor? Ash asked. Wait, what were you two doing? Penny asked. We have more important PP problems in hand, don't you think? Iono asked. I think I got an idea, Ash said, looking for a Pokeball. Frigibax, Draco Meteor. Ash released the small lizard who roared to the skies, summoning a blue meteor that fell from the stars and crashed against the red meteor, changing its direction, causing it to fall in a nearby beach. Giao. A loud cry was heard from the beach after the landing. We all heard that, right? Iono asked. That meteor could have injured a Pokemon, Nemona shouted. Or maybe that wasn't a meteor, Ash replied. We have to get down there. Why am I not surprised that you just said that? Penny asked. So that's more or less the introduction, Iono said. It took us a while to get down here since we don't have any flying Pokemon besides my Kilowattrel, but we're here now. Let's see what the team thinks. Iono left her Rotom phone floating while recording as she approached the group. How's the big guy? Iono asked them. Still pretty weak, Nemona answered. And we're already out of potions. My Knackley is doing his best to help him with his salt, but it doesn't seem to be working either. Penny added. Looks like the Draco Meteor damaged him a lot besides the fall itself. Sorry, but I really thought we were all in danger, I had to think fast. Ash answered. I can't afford any of you getting harmed. Ah, our white knight protecting us as always. Iono said, hugging his arm. What do you think of that, fans? Still, what even is this thing? Penny asked. None of our Pokédex were able of recognizing it. It kinda looks like a cyclizer, but I've never seen one like this before, Nemona said. You're kinda right. Penny said, placing both hands on the dragon's skin. It could be some kind of relative. But he's way too cold. I think got an idea. Ash, we need your Crocalor and Armarouge, let's help him heat up. Got it. Ash answered, releasing both Pokemon. We need a sunny day, Crocalor, can you help us? The Croc nodded and tossed up his hat, which then started to float and spin in the air, illuminating the whole place as it simulated a sun. The light showered them and the mysterious Pokemon suddenly opened his eyes. It then tried to stand up, but fell down shortly afterwards. It seems like it's working, Armor Cannon. Armarouge nodded as well and took a step forward to then move both of the pauldrons on his shoulder to its hands, putting his arms together to form a cannon and shoot a stream of fire that covered the Pokemon, which finally stood up in his back legs, showcasing several plumes in his head. The group took some steps back and the dragon took Crocalor's hat in his hand, absorbing its heat and then handing it over to the Croc. Great thinking, Penny. Nemona cheered on her. Hey, it's nothing. Penny smiled to then look at the Pokemon. You okay? She asked, receiving a nod in response. Sorry about that Draco meteor, by the way, Ash said. Wow, that thing looks even bigger now, Iono exclaimed. Well, what should we do with him? Some questions, I guess. Penny said. Why exactly was this guy randomly falling from the sky? I guess I can answer that. Someone called from above a cliff and the group looked up. Professor Sada. They all asked. Good to see you again, children, she answered. And I see you already met Koraidon. Koraidon? That's your name. Ash looked at the dragon who was growling at Sada. It is. And he belongs to me, in fact. Sada said, showing a Master Ball. Sorry if he was bothering you. I'll take him now. Sada activated the ball to recall him, but Koraidon jumped back and avoided the ray to then stand behind Ash. I see. Sada smiled, but the moment was interrupted by rumbling thunder as the clouds began turning purple. What's going on now? Penny asked while her Plusle and Minun pulled up her hoodie to hide inside of it. Grr. Koraidon suddenly took Ash, Nemona, Penny, Iono and their Pokemon in his arms to then jump high and land in front of Sada on top of the cliff. Run, he said to them. He can talk. The group shouted. HMMP, that's new actually, Sada said. So here you are. An echoed voice called from the clouds. A purple thunder then fell from the sky and struck the land in front of the group, teleporting a violet serpentine Pokemon similar to Koraidon, who was also being accompanied by what appeared to be robotic versions of a Gallade, a Volcarona, a Hariyama, a Tyranitar, a Hydreigon and a Delibird. How many times will you test this, humans? The purple dragon asked. Why don't you ever learn? There's things you shouldn't mess with. Miraidon. Koraidon trailed off. ¿Qué carajos está pasando aquí? Nemona shouted. My viewers are going crazy. Iono said. Is that what you guys were so worried about? Penny asked and her Pokemon nodded. Professor Sada, what is all this? Ash asked. Don't worry kid, I got it covered. Sada said to then talk to her Rotom phone. Whenever you're ready. I'm almost there. A voice in her phone answered. Come with us peacefully, brother. Miraidon talked again. We will find the rest of your people and return you where you belong to. Stay. Koraidon answered. We cannot. Miraidon answered. Our mere presence here threatens to cause unfixable damage in this world's timeline. If you refuse to understand, we'll take you by force. After Miraidon said this, the robotic Pokemon with him started walking towards Ash and company. Looks like they're done being friendly. Nemona said, releasing her Pomo, Mailwoinkalone, Dolive and Quaxwell. Be as it may. Penny sighed, calling out a Sprigatito who joined with her Knackley, Plusle and Minun. Let's shock them up, Iono exclaimed, releasing a Kilowattrel, a Mismagius and Bellabolt. Ash's Pikachu, Armarouge and Fuecoco also prepared themselves to fight since they were already outside, but Ash himself didn't call out the rest of his Pokemon. Everyone, wait a second. Ash shouted and then looked at Miraidon. Why are you doing this and what do you mean with going back where you belong? I have nothing to explain to your kind. Miraidon answered. The robotic Hydreigon then rushed towards the group, but a giant pincer suddenly rose from the ground and caught him. Just in time. Sada smiled. The pincer then kept rising and showed itself to be giant cloth, with a man in a purple suit and a lab coat riding on top of it. Ladies and gentlemen. He smiled to the group before tossing 6 Master Balls to the robotic Pokémon and catching them all except for Miraidon. No. Miraidon shouted, descending towards the Master Balls. Protect. The man shouted and Cloth crossed his pincers, summoning a shielding dome that protected him and locked him with the Master Balls inside. Rock slide. While Miraidon was trying to force his way in, Cloth's eyes illuminated and several giant rocks fell from the sky. Most of them hit Miraidon directly, but he smacked some of the rocks away with his tail. Everyone back down. Sada shouted as Ash and company recalled their Pokémon. The girls then ran away towards the lighthouse as they avoided the falling rocks, but Ash stayed next to Koraidon. Ash Ketchum, what do you think you're doing? Penny shouted. His usual stuff, I guess. Nemona said. Wait, don't play hero, Iono shouted to then adjust her Rotom phone camera to record Ash better. Okay. You can play hero now. Go away, child. This is far too dangerous. The man on top of the cloth told him. Give it up, Miraidon. I still have more Master Balls for you and the rest. Arg. Very well, brother, stay here if you want, but I can't allow these creatures to use your power for their benefit. Miraidon opened his mouth, took a deep breath. Pikachu, Plusle, Minun and the rest of the electric Pokémon who were inside of their Pokeballs were all drained from their energy as Miraidon absorbed it to charge himself and started to illuminate with pink light as his body glistened. He terrestrialized to Fairy, Penny shouted. So he can use other Pokémon to power himself up, Sada said under her breath. Not. Fight. You. Koraidon said. In that case. Please, forgive me, Miraidon answered. Miraidon, stop. Ash shouted in front of Koraidon. Out of the way, human. You don't understand what's going on here. I'm not going anywhere. Ash shouted. Your choice. Miraidon curled up himself into a glowing electric wheel and rushed towards them. Ash. His 3 partners shouted, running towards him. Ash quickly took his weakened Pikachu and tossed him to the girls. With Penny being the one who caught him in her arms, seeing this, Koraidon quickly grabbed Ash and tossed him in the same direction, with Nemona and Iono catching him together. Koraidon then put his claws in front of him and tried to stop Miraidon's attack, but the latter kept going and impacted Koraidon on his chest, creating a massive explosion with a shock wave that knocked back the group. Koraidon was then forced down to his limited build form and Miraidon elevated himself again. That should keep you down for the moment, Miraidon said to then look at the still protected cloth. I'll return for them. For all of you. He glared at the 2 professors to then fly away and disappear in the sky. Huff. Everyone okay? Ash asked. What exactly were you thinking? Penny shouted, grabbing him by his collar. Did you just see that explosion? If Koraidon had not pushed you away, you'd be burned to crisp. Hey, I honestly wasn't worried, Nemona said, patting Ash in the back. Ash has gotten out of worse. Did you get all that, Rotom? Iono asked to her phone. I did, miss. He answered. Great, but honestly, I got really scared for a second. Iono admitted, hugging Ash again. I love it when you do hero stuff, but please be careful. You bunch of idiots. Penny sighed before hugging the 2 as well, while Nemona looked at them in silence for a moment. I want a hug too. She suddenly shouted, joining them, and tried to hold back her tears. TT tenía tanto miedo. Los quiero mucho, los quiero a todos. We all like you too, Nemona. Ash answered. Glad to see none of you are injured, the man said, still on top of the giant cloth. Kids, I suppose I haven't introduced you to my husband, Sada said. My name is Turo, is a pleasure to meet you all. He talked, getting off the cloth and then returning it to a heavy ball. Why is that cloth so big? Iono asked. I believe is one of the titans that Arven mentioned, Ash said. Guess that makes sense, since these 2 are Arven's parents. Nemona replied, surprising the other 3. Those 2 statements are true. Turo answered. I borrowed this Pokémon from my son to help us with this situation. And what exactly is this situation? Ash asked, approaching the injured Koraidon. What's up with all those robotic Pokemon? HMMP. Well, after all you saw, I guess it's fair to give you an explanation. Sada replied. For now, come with us. Sometime later inside of the lighthouse. Regional variants? Ash asked. Correct, although not in the usual sense of the word. Sada answered, handing Pikachu back to Ash once all the Pokemon were healed. They come from a remote island which can only be accessed from some rivers in the center of Paldea. Turo added. We call it Genzai Island. Sada and I arrived in that island by accident some months ago. We captured all the Pokemon you saw. Back in the island they seemed to live in two groups, one led by Koraidon in the south and the other led by Miraidon in the north. Yesterday, Miraidon broke free from his Pokeball. Sada continued. He set free both groups and destroyed their Pokeballs, with the exception of Koraidon's, who I had outside with me running some tests at the moment. I did my best to stop them, but I was unable to do anything. Turo sighed. Most of Miraidon's group followed him while he ran away, while Koraidon's group and a single member of Miraidon's scattered around the region in different directions. I imagine Koraidon felt something odd was happening, so he decided to escape as well and go after his crew. Isn't that right, buddy? Sada asked the lizard, who was now hiding behind Ash, still in his low-powered form. Grr. Koraidon kept growling at her. Do you think Miraidon left to find the rest of them? Iono asked. And if that's the case, could he lead them in some kind of attack against us? Penny asked. It's honestly hard to say. Sada answered. Miraidon's intelligence is definitely above average, so it'll be hard to predict whatever he's about to do. Okay, but how did you even arrive just in time to where they were? Penny asked. We've been tracking them. Turo answered. Each of these regional variants emits a curious signal, which grew stronger since they were in group, but now that we separated Miraidon from his pack, it'll be much harder to find his location. Still, there's no need for you to worry, Sada said. We already informed the authorities and they'll help us find Miraidon and the rest of those Pokemon. Nevertheless, it seems like Koraidon has been way too weakened from Miraidon's attack, Turo said. Looks like he can't even access his full form anymore. Speaking of that, professors, what were all those things Miraidon was talking about? Ash asked. All that about things you shouldn't mess with and not letting you use his power for your benefit? We know just as much as you, Turo said. As we mentioned, we do not fully understand Miraidon and his motives. Come on, guys, chill out with the questions, Nemona said. Listen, I've known the professors for a long time, you can trust them, they know what they're talking about. You know what, Ash? With Koraidon in that state, we won't be able of making the studies we were planning. Sada said. So since he seems to have taken a liking of you, would you like to take him with you for the moment? Are you sure? Ash asked. Completely. Sada nodded to then softly toss him the Koraidon's Master Ball, which Ash caught. I know you have quite the experience in the field, so I'm sure I can trust you with this. Still, please don't use him for battles and inform me when he seems fully recovered. Fine then, I'll do as you say, Professor. Ash answered. What do you think, Koraidon? He asked him and the dragon simply nodded. That's just fine, children. Turo said. It's already late night, so make yourselves comfortable, there's some rooms here in the lighthouse that you can share. Sada and I will be returning to our lab. Turo and Sada looked at Koraidon for a moment and then bid their farewells to Ash's group before leaving the lighthouse. You think they believed us? Sada asked. I doubt it, Turo replied. You should keep an eye on them, for safety. Guess I should, Sada replied. Back inside the lighthouse. Nemona. Are you totally sure they were telling the truth? Penny asked her as the four were setting their sleeping bags in an empty room. Of course I am, Nemona answered. Why would they even lie to us? I'm not saying they're lying, but it feels more like they didn't tell us the full story, Penny answered. What do you think, Ash? I'm not totally sure, he answered while looking at Koraidon sleeping. They didn't seem like bad people, but Koraidon didn't seem exactly happy around them either, and what Miraidon said was still suspicious. We should keep our guards up, just in case, but let's all sleep for now. You guys are all getting paranoid now, Nemona said. See, Penny? This is what you cause. Whatever. Penny replied, putting her glasses aside and hiding herself inside her sleeping bag. Well, double low KC for you. Nemona answered, hiding inside her sleeping bag as well. Oh, well. Ash sighed, looking at the two, and then looked at Iono, who was next to the window with her Rotom phone in hand. All okay, Iono? Sure, I'll just finish today's editing and I'll join you, guys. She answered, replaying the videos, but once she was done she stumbled on a picture of the moment when Ash kissed her forehead. I thought it wasn't recording when that happened. Iono said, blushing. I did it on my own. The Rotom phone answered. Please forgive me, but I supposed you'd like to have the picture at least. Do you wish to upload it to your social media? Nah. I'm not gonna upload this. Iono smiled while looking at Ash. This moment is mine and mine alone. Naranja Academy, Mesagoza, Paldea. Osu, say hello to your battle instructor. The one. The only. The hot-blooded Dendra Kahata. Welcome to battle studies class. She shouted to the group of students in the battlefield of the academy's schoolyard. Osu is a karate thing, by the way, look it up. Well, why don't you tell us what it means yourself? Iono asked, in the middle of the students wearing her casual clothes and Ash's Pikachu by her side. Never mind. I suppose the new students would like to know a bit more about me, right? Dendra asked. I'm a bit more interested in the class itself, Iono said. Somebody asked me age. That's pretty rude, but I'm 25, Dendra continued. My hobby? Working out. My type? Well, strong and muscular fighting types, of course. Look at my gal Metacham here. She pointed at her Pokemon, who waved at the group. She doesn't look exactly muscular. Iono talked again. Oh, well, I guess that's all for my introduction, Dendra continued. As for my class, this is where you learn the nitty-gritty of Pokemon battling. We'll start with the basics so that no trainer gets left behind. Even if you're new to this stuff, have no fear, leave it to me and my muscles and you'll be pros in no time. Super humble, huh? Iono asked. Let's set our fighting spirits ablaze together, Dendra said, a bit worn out. Lesson number 1. Pokemon have all kind of attacks moves at their disposal, and each move has certain qualities that you'll want to remember. I'm talking about power, type and category. First things first, higher power means more damage. Wow, higher power means more damage? Iono asked. Other breaking news. Water. Wet. After Iono said this, Dendra dropped herself, kneeling in the floor. Listen, new kid, I've been having a real bad week, okay? I really didn't want to come here today, she shouted, surprising the rest of the students. I'm doing my best to give you all this class, but you're not helping. Oh, my. Well, sorry, teacher, Iono said. Huff. It's fine. Dendra answered, standing up again. And don't worry, it's nice to see a student being so interested in the class. Oh, I'm not a student, Iono said. What? Dendra asked. I'm just visiting the school and thought it'd be nice to see the place since I've never been here before, Iono said, to then point at her Rotom phone, who was behind Dendra. I've even been recording the class too. Wait a sec, you're Iono? Dendra shouted, pointing at her. Geez, I didn't recognize you with those clothes. Even though the hair and the Magnemites are a pretty obvious giveaway. Could you please not upload the things I said a moment ago? That won't be a problem, because we're live, Iono replied, and Dendra fell kneeling again. Oh, well, let's cut to the important thing so I can leave. Dendra sighed and crossed her legs as she sat in the floor. My friend Tulip told me she just got beaten by a pretty strong trainer and she asked him to come by and have a battle with me so I could showcase today's class better. He should be here any moment. Oh, so this is that class, Iono said. What do you mean? Dendra asked. I'm a traveling partner of the person who's coming to visit you, Iono said. He's right behind you, in fact. What? Dendra shouted, looking behind her again to find Ash, Penny and Nemona standing in front of her. Hi there, guys. Iono greeted them. Nice to meet you, you must be Tulip's friend. Ash said to the teacher. Dendra, right? Yup, this lovely lady has taught me so many things, Nemona said. She's fine, I guess. Penny shrugged shoulders. My name is Ash Ketchum, dunno if Tulip told you that. Ash Ketchum. You're the world champion. Dendra answered, to then stand up again. Sorry. Tulip only told me that a trainer would be coming. She didn't specify anything. I didn't expect someone as important as you to show up. Although you're a bit smaller than I expected. I get told that a lot, actually. Ash made a short laugh. So. Dendra looked down at Ash while blushing. Do you want to know how I got this scar? She asked, pointing at her forehead. Sure. How did that happen? Ash asked. Oh, well, I fought fist to fist with a wild Machamp to protect some kids. Dendra answered. Wow, really? Ash asked. No, I actually tripped in the kitchen and fell face first onto the fridge, Dendra admitted. Well, I still think that was a good story, Nemona said. Can we just get this over with? Penny asked. I guess, you ready for our battle, Miss Dendra? Ash asked. Sure. Dendra replied, walking to her side of the battlefield while Ash went to the opposite. Medicham. Help me here, okay? She asked, and the Pokemon prepared herself to fight, and Dendra set her sight on Ash. We'll have a 1v1, fine? Of course. Armarouge, I choose you, Ash shouted, calling upon the knight. Give it you all, Charlos. Nemona cheered on. If both trainers are ready. Iono prepared her Rotom phone to record the fight. The battle begins now. Fine then, let's float like a butterfree and sting like a girl. Dendra exclaimed. Enough clumsiness for one day. I have to keep it cool in front of my students. I don't care how well looking this kid is. Wait, what did I just? And no, I don't. She thought in silence for a moment until she remembered what she was doing, and now everyone was looking at her. All right, kids? Listen up. Dendra shouted out loud. One of the things I mentioned was the category of the moves. Ash and I will showcase you that, among other things. Now, there are physical moves, which mostly cause damage by direct contact, special moves, which can be used to make damage from afar, and status moves, which don't do direct damage, but rather boost yourself, weaken the opponent, or change something in the battlefield overall. Why don't you move first, Ash? Very well, we'll start off with a special move. Get ready. Ash answered. Armor Cannon. Armarouge formed a cannon with his pauldrons and shot a big fireball towards Medicham. And we'll answer with a physical. High jump kick. Medicham jumped high in the air to avoid the projectile and then dove down, landing a strong knee kick on Armarouge's face and pushing him back. Of course, Pokemon can run both of these types of moves without problem. Dendra continued. We're going for a special now. Nightshade. The yellow spots in Medicham's forehead illuminated and then shot 3 dark beams from them. And we can go physical too. Flame Charge. Armarouge became surrounded in flames and used his pauldrons to block the Nightshade and then rushed to Medicham and shoulder tackled her. Even then, not all physical moves require direct contact, Dendra said. Here comes a rock slide, for example. Medicham stomped the ground and a large rock rose from the battlefield. Medicham then kicked the rock and propelled it towards Armarouge. Psyshock. The 3 holes in Armarouge's forehead illuminated and shot a trio of pink beams similar to Medicham before him, with the attack making the rock explode before it could hit him and continuing towards Medicham, landing a hit on her. Flame Charge. Rock Slide. Medicham summoned another rock and pushed it to Armarouge, stopping his run towards her. High Jump Kick. Flame Charge again. The moment Medicham was about to land the hit, Armarouge became surrounded in flames and dashed out of reach, causing Medicham to miss the mark and hit the battlefield with her high jump kick. Well, here's a lesson of my part, if the teacher doesn't mind. Ash talked to the students. Aside from status moves, most damaging moves also have secondary effects that can affect the target or the user positively or negatively. For example, Flame Charge will boost the user's speed. He explained as his Armarouge swiftly moved from side to side around the battlefield. On the other side, High Jump Kick will cause crash damage to the user if the move fails. Ash said while Medicham tried to stand up while holding her knee. HMMP, pretty good lesson, kid. Dendra smiled. But we're not done. Zen Headbutt. Medicham made another forward jump with her not injured leg and slammed onto Armarouge head first as her forehead glowed light blue. Shadow Ball. While Medicham was still close, Armarouge formed the attack in his hand and tossed it right in Medicham's forehead, pushing her away again. Another lesson. Damage-dealing moves can be used in more ways than just attacking, Dendra said. Rock Slide Platform. Medicham stomped the ground again, and this time the spot of the battlefield right beneath Armerog suddenly rose up and sent the knight up in the sky. And now that he's up there he can't dodge anything. Rock slide again. Dendra shouted, and Medicham sent more rocks towards the now falling Armarouge. No need to dodge if we can improvise. Ash answered. Roll down and use flame charge. Armarouge quickly curled up into a ball as he descended, surrounded in flames, breaking through the rocks and crashing onto Medicham with an explosion. Wow. Okay. Kid, your style is pretty crazy. I respect that. Dendra smiled again while her Medicham stood up with difficulty after the impact. You style is great too, Ash answered. Why you think so? Dendra asked. Sure. Tulip had nothing but praise for you. I can totally see what she meant. Ash replied. She mentioned you were both strong and beautiful. Wait, does that mean he thinks I'm beautiful too? Dendra thought. Armor cannon. While Dendra got lost in her thoughts again, Armarouge used his signature move and shot a large fireball to Medicham, who was still recovering from the last hit and was unable to dodge. Flame charge. Rock slide. With his highly boosted speed, Armarouge charged onto Medicham before she could even stomp the ground to use the move and sent her flying away, with the fighting type ending up crashing onto Dendra's chest, knocking the teacher down onto the floor. Miss Dendra. The students of the class along with Ash's group all went to check on the teacher, while both her and her Medicham were laying down in the floor with swirls in their eyes. I'm really sorry about that, Ash said next to her while Armarouge took a bow, apologizing as well. It's fine. Dendra sighed, returning to herself and then recalling her fainted Medicham to her pokeball. Trust me, this ain't the first time that this exact things happens to me. Well, guess I won, Ash replied. You sure did, Dendra answered. I see you got some truly honed skills, Ash. No surprise you defeated Tulip. Here, let me help you. Ash offered her a hand and Dendra stared at it for a moment, but she eventually accepted it. Ash then helped her stand up, and once she was up the teacher looked at him in silence without letting go of his hand. Thank you, Dendra whispered to then hold Ash's hand with both of her hands. This may sound silly, but I'm so used to falling and standing up on my own that it feels nice to have someone else helping me. Ah, that's pretty sweet, isn't it, guys? Iono asked. And then Dendra remembered once again that she was surrounded by students, and as if that wasn't enough, she also remembered that Iono had been recording everything. Well. I guess that'd be it for today's class, Dendra exclaimed, blushing and letting go off of Ash's hand. If there's no questions, you guys are free to go, she shouted before running out of the scene herself, while Ash, his group and the students simply looked at her go. But I had a question, one of the students said. Well, that was weird, Nemona said. As weird as everyone else in this school, Penny added. She seems nice, Iono said, a few minutes later. What the heck is happening to me, Miriam? Dendra shouted in the nurse's office. Why are my hands shaking? Girl, your everything is shaking. The nurse answered, looking at her friend trembling. Explain me again what happened. Well, Tulip asked this kid to help me with a class, and well, he came by. And I looked at him and everything got so weird, he was acting so kind, I started stuttering and saying stupid things, my hands got sweaty, I could hardly breathe, and then he offered me his hand and I grabbed it and I didn't want to let go of it, but everyone was looking at us and I felt like I was gonna explode or something. Well, you're making it sound as if you fell in love with him, Miriam answered, and Dendra processed what she said for a moment. In love? I'd rather be his babysitter. He barely reaches my shoulder, Dendra shouted while she kept blushing. And most important, kid's 18. He's barely legal. Everyone's going to say that I've been stalking him for years and that I'm making my move now because he's an adult. That's a very specific assumption, Miriam replied. And actually that would be starting from 16, but never mind. You can't just ignore all the things you said. The way he makes you feel, I bet you two would have a lot of chemistry. I'm freaking out about having a crush on a teen and you're making school puns. Dendra shouted again. Sorry, but I really think you should at least ask him out. Miriam incited. I haven't had a date since I was his age. What do teens even do in dates these days? Dendra continued. Besides, he's traveling with 3 girls his age, so there's no way he'd be interested in me. Geez, Dendra Quijada is scared of competition. Miriam smiled. That kid really messed you up. You're not helpin', Mimi. Dendra covered her face for a moment and sat down. So you haven't dated since you were his age? I actually didn't know that. Miriam said. I mean, that'd be 7 years. Thanks for reminding me. Dendra said. I'm just saying that that's a lot of time. Miriam replied. But you're still young. Dendra, all those things you mentioned is your heart sending you signals and you're the only one who can answer to them. The nurse then took her stethoscope and placed it on Dendra's chest. And right now, I can clearly hear it saying that you should go for it. That was so goddamn silly. Thanks, Mimi. Dendra smiled. But even then, I wouldn't know where to start. Finding a way to make him notice you seems like a good step. Miriam said. You could try and find something that he likes and then share something about that with him. Why don't you go and ask those 3 girls you mentioned for help? No, thanks, they would obviously tell him what I'm trying to do. Dendra said. Not to mention that they could like him as well, so they probably wouldn't want me to get close to Ash. Hey, wait, I think I know who to call. Dendra exclaimed to then take her Rotom phone and make a video call. Yes, Miss Dendra. B. Nice to see you again. She answered. Listen, you've had some battles with the kid Ash Ketchum during the last season of the World Coronation Series, right? Yes. 3 battles, in fact. B answered. Great. Now, totally unrelated question but. Dendra did her best to not look suspicious. What does he like to do? Aside from Pokemon battles. Eating, I guess. B answered. We shared some sweets a couple times, but it's not like I got to know him that much. Kinda wish I had though. He's quite. Hey, wait a second, why are you asking me about him? It's nothing, really, I just battled him earlier and got curious about him. Dendra replied. But eating, that makes sense. They say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I don't like where this is going. Miriam said. Wait, to his heart? B asked. Are you into him? Isn't he like 7 or 8 years younger than you? Of course, I'm just, asking for a friend. Dendra replied while sweating. Miriam here is crazy for him and she begged for my help. Hey, Miriam shouted. Well, see you later, B. Dendra shouted to then cut the call. Fine then. I just gotta get him some food, or even better, I'll cook him some food. But if I'm really going to do this then I'll need the best ingredients I can get. I'm off to the school kitchen. She shouted running outside of the nurse's office. Guess I'll start preparing some stomachache medicine for the kid. Miriam said. A few minutes later. Alright, it's done. She smiled with a meat sandwich in a plate as she left the kitchen. That's step 1. Now I just need to find Ash. Hey, Ash. She saw him walking through the hallway and ran towards him. Oh, hi, Miss Dendra. He replied with Pikachu on his shoulder. Nice to see you again. Are you guys leaving the academy already? She asked. Not yet. We'll be passing the night here in the campus. I see. And where are your friends? Nemona is showing Iono around the campus and Penny decided to stay in our room. He answered. That means I have you for myself for the moment. Dendra smiled. I guess. Ash asked and Pikachu rolled his eyes. Sorry, that sounded weird. Dendra admitted. And I actually have another class in like 10 minutes so I don't really have time. Anyway, I brought you something, as a thanks for helping me with the class. I made this for you. She said presenting him the sandwich. Oh, well, thanks a lot. Ash answered taking the plate. I was actually planning to go to the cafeteria. Nothing to thank. That's my meat lover's prosciutto, bacon and chorizo sandwich. Dendra said with a proud grin. It'll keep you healthy and strong. Go on, dig in. Ash handed Pikachu a bit of the sandwich while taking a bite himself. Both of them frowned for a moment, but Ash then smiled at the teacher. Yeah, it tastes great. He said. Great indeed. Dendra smiled. I knew you'd like it, that makes me so happy. Oh, well, better get moving to my other class, see you around. Dendra ran her way out and left Ash and Pikachu alone. Hi. His partner looked at him accusingly. Yeah, I know, but you saw how excited she looked, I wasn't gonna tell her that. Ash answered while holding his stomach. I really don't feel so good. An hour later. Mimi. He liked my sandwich. Dendra shouted, breaking into the nurse's office, only to find Miriam checking Ash's stomach with her stethoscope. I was wondering how long it would take you to get back here. Miriam said. Hello again, Miss Dendra. Ash answered. Well, as I was saying, Miss Miriam, I really think you should give the health teacher certification exam another try. Well, thanks a lot for the encouragement. Miriam answered, patting Ash's head. I'll consider doing another shot, can't say it's for sure, but thanks for listening anyway. What is going on here? Dendra asked with a jealous tone. Something called food poisoning, Miriam answered. Or should I say sandwich poisoning? She added, staring at her friend and causing Dendra to facepalm. At least it was tasty, right? Dendra asked Ash. Yeah, tasty. Ash answered without making eye contact. Quote. Just be honest, I can take it. Dendra said. It was dry, had a weird smell, and honestly tasted really bad. Ash answered. Yes, I have experience with that. Miriam giggled. I've gotten a few stomachaches thanks to my dear friend here. So you two are friends? Ash said. I'm a nurse and she's a girl who's always getting herself injured, what do you think? Miriam smiled. Yeah, Miriam does a lot for me. Dendra answered to then sigh. I'm really sorry about the sandwich, but why didn't you tell me all that right away? You seem to have put a lot of effort into it, so I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Ash answered. I still think it's pretty sweet that you went through the trouble of making a sandwich just for me. Oh, well, I should have seen that coming. Dendra blushed while Miriam smiled, looking at the scene. Like, I'm athletic and all that, but I don't know the first thing about making good food. I've been trying to take classes with Sawaro, but it seems like his teaching and cooking style don't exactly work for me. Well, if you really want to learn, I could teach you. Ash replied. I may not look like it, but I'm a really good chef, even if I say so myself. You want to teach me? Dendra smiled. Hey, I thought I was the teacher here. Even teachers still have things to learn. Ash replied. That's actually what she always says. Miriam said, looking at Dendra. Yup, I do. Dendra answered. Well, Ash, I guess I'll have to accept your offer then. By the way, how was your battle with Tulip? It was wild. Tulip was my 5th gym leader here in Paldea and she honestly almost defeated me. Ash answered. We had a 4v4 and the battle ended with my Locax defeating her Florges. Well, if she asked you to come by and help me, you must have impressed her a lot. Dendra said. That also means you did the ESP exercise for the gym test with one of her gym trainers, right? Yes, I did it with my Arctobax, it was fun. Ash answered. I tend to help her with her gym test when I'm not here in the academy, so I suppose I must have missed it when you were at the gym, what a shame. I would have liked to see the show. So you work at the Alfornada gym too? Ash asked. It's not an official work, like, she doesn't pay me. Dendra answered, embarrassed. You see, I've been friends with Tulip since we were kids and one day we decided to have a Pokemon battle with a special rule. The loser had to do whatever the winner said, so we battled and, you can imagine the rest. So, you, the fighting type specialist, thought that it would be a good idea to make a bet in a battle against a psychic type specialist. Look who's talking. Dendra answered and the two shared a short laugh. But yeah, I mean, it's not like it's some kind of bother. We're great friends and I'm happy to help her. But man, I've never agreed with her whole view of the makeup. The way she says, everyone can use it to change their appearance. But I don't think there's need to change who you are like that. As much as being pretty is important, inner beauty is still the main event. She's also quite dramatic most of the time, but that's just her. Well, Ash, it seems like you're good to go. Miriam said. But please come back if you feel anything weird. Thanks, Miss Miriam. Oh, dear, you can just call me Mimi if you prefer, that's what everyone does here. She answered. Sorry again about the sandwich. Dendra said, offering a hand. I'll be looking forward to have some cooking classes with you. I'll be happy to teach you. Ash accepted the handshake. You honestly need it. Ouch. Dendra said. But my schedule today is still a little busy. Let's start tomorrow since it'll be Saturday, fine. Sure, Let's trade numbers and call me when you're ready. I'll give you my number too. Miriam said, just in case Dendra's sandwich returns for a revenge. Come on, it wasn't that bad. Dendra said, there, well, I'll get going. Don't want the girls to get worried about me, thanks again for everything. Ash said as he left the nurse's office. Guess the sandwich worked in the end. Miriam said. Guess it did. Dendra answered as she stood looking at his number in her phone while smiling from ear to ear. Quote. Hey, what was that with the head pat? Please, he's adorable, I pretty much did it in instinct. Miriam replied. Next morning. Alright, it's Saturday. I don't have classes today and I'm gonna have a date with the boy I like. Dendra shouted to herself in a mirror after her usual morning workout session. Okay, fine, it's not a date, it's a cooking class, but we all gotta start somewhere, right? She kept talking to the mirror. Quote. Should I wear something different today? Something fancy? No, wait, we'll be preparing food, so whatever I wear could get dirty, I'll go with my usual clothes. I mean, if my jacket gets dirty, that could be a good excuse to take it off and show him a bit of skin. No. Wait. What am I saying? We'd still be in the school and his other friends could be there with us, what the heck is going on in my head? Arg. Okay, we'll just cook together and I'll try to listen to everything he says. I'll pay attention, I'll learn and I'll impress him. Simple plan. Man, I could really use some help from Tulip here, but she'd make fun of me, or maybe she'd make me thank her for sending him to my class. Wait a sec, did she plan all this? While Dendra continued to talk to her reflection in the mirror, she heard her phone ringing from her drawer and rushed to it. It's Ash, she shouted, grabbing her phone. No, it's just Dieter Clavel. Sorry, old man, but it's weekend, I don't know you. You do not exist. Well, that's quite rude, Dendra. Clavel answered. Sorry, I didn't notice I had answered the call, I was expecting someone else. Don't worry, I know it's a day off and all that, but I need you to come to my office, can you? Fine, I'm on my way. Dendra replied with a sigh. Thanks a lot. Clavel answered to then cut the call. A few minutes later. It just had to be today. Dendra said as she walked through the halls of the academy and finally made it to the director's office. She then opened the door and found Clavel sitting on his desk while talking to none other than Ash and his group. Great. You finally made it, Dendra. Clavel said. We need to talk about something regarding Ash and you. It's not what you think, Mr. Clavel. Dendra shouted, blushing to her limit. We didn't do anything in the campus, I swear, we aren't dating. Wait, what? They all asked. I just. No. You know what? If people are going to judge me because of this, then maybe I don't belong to this place anymore. Dendra shouted. We're both adults, so we can do what we want cause these are our lives. And I want to do this. Dendra then ran to Ash and held both his hands again. Ash Ketchum, I really like you. Would you like to have a date with me? What? Penny, Nemona and Iono shouted. Yes. Ash asked, dumbfounded and blushing just as much as her. Ash Ketchum. The three girls shouted again. Yes indeed. Dendra shouted, hugging him, and then looked at Clavel again. So go ahead. Fire me. I don't care. I just needed a teacher to help Ash and his group with a certain task and they suggested you. Clavel said. What now? Dendra asked. Yes, and, it's not like I would have done anything if you two were, as you said you're both adults and he isn't even a student here, at much I would have asked you to not let all that distract from your responsibilities in the academy. Oh. Dendra let go off Ash and tried to stand straight again while Penny, Iono and Nemona pretty much pierced her with their eyes. Well, what do you need us to do? Sure, I imagine you all know about Team Star, right? Of course, we've encountered them a few times. Ash answered. Those guys are such a nuisance. Iono added. Coming to think about it, they haven't showed up around the academy lately. Dendra said. But they're still bothering some students that go on treasure hunt outside of it. Nemona said. A certain intel of mine has informed me that all of Team Star's squads and its members will be holding a reunion tonight in the Shadar squad's base. I need you guys to go there and find out exactly what they'll be talking about. Clavel explained. There's numerous rumors implying that they could be trying to do something against the school. Whatever that reunion is for, I doubt is anything to worry about. Penny said. Team Star may be annoying at times, but they never do serious harm. That's true. So far. Clavel said. But their actions and presence outside the academy have been escalating these last weeks. I'm sending you there to be sure. Can I trust you all? Of course you can, Mr. Clavel. Ash answered. Quote. You guys can go without me. Penny said. Are you sure, Penny? Ash asked. Don't tell me you're scared. Remember that you and I defeated Mela and Giacomo together. I'm sure all of us will be fine if we stick together. It's not that, Ash. Just. I really don't feel motivated today. You guys will be better off without me. She said to then walk out of Clavel's office. Quote. Just be safe, okay? And return here once you're done. She said as she closed the door. Fine. The rest of you, prepare everything you need. The reunion is tonight, so we'll take off in a few hours. Ash said to the other three. I'll see if I can get us some of their clothing so we can blend in. Iono said. I'll make sure my team is ready if the need to fight comes up. Dendra said. Let's, ignore what I said for the moment. Well, I'll also help where I can. Nemona said as she looked at the door. Penny. All of the members holding a reunion. Mela, what are you guys up to? Penny asked to herself as she walked out of the academy and released a bombardier. I need a flight. Dear Diary, it's Penny again. Been a while, huh? Guess I should tell you what I'm doing. Bombardier is taking me to the Shadar base. Apparently Team Star is holding a big reunion and the academy is worried that they could be doing something harmful, but I know they wouldn't. Team Star. I've already written this a lot of times, but I feel like I should do it again. I am the founder of Team Star. It was back when me and my friends got bullied a lot in the academy. We started the team 2.5 years ago and they made me the leader since it was more or less my idea to form it. At first it was some kind of bullying support group. We called it the Anti-Terrorism Squad. I know, a bit exaggerated, but ongoing bullying definitely feels like terrorism to those experiencing it. It was rather simple. We warned each other about which stairwells and bathrooms to avoid on any given day. We walked with each other to and from school. That kind of thing. We just wanted to protect ourselves and it kinda worked for a few weeks, but then the bullies somehow found out. They just wouldn't stop. The situation just worsened and one day Mela was. It was enough. We had enough. We knew the teachers weren't going to help us, so we organized ourselves to confront the bullies. Eri helped us train our Pokemon. Atticus made outfits for the other bosses. Ortega made the Starmobiles. Giacomo made a soundtrack. Which wasn't that important, but at least he did his part. I hacked all of the bullies' phones and sent them a message for them to be in the courtyard at night. We then confronted the bullies and it was massive chaos, but no one got seriously injured in the end. The bullies escaped and then they started dropping out from the academy, saying they were scared of Team Star, that we attacked them without reason, that we had been bullied them. And everyone believed them. We ended up being the villains in everyone's eyes. I went with Director Harrington and I tried to explain him that we were just defending ourselves and that I was going to take full responsibility for everything, but he didn't fully agree with the idea. He said that he was going to investigate about the truth of what happened. Meanwhile, he sent me back to my home in Galar to study abroad. The day before I left, I asked the bosses to disband the team, telling them that now that the bullies were gone they could start over. They were all shocked and I had to leave, so I never got an answer, and we never talked to each other while I was in Galar. When I returned after a year, I found out that Team Star was still active. Their numbers and the negative rumors about them just kept increasing. The director didn't do anything at all, or maybe he only did what was the most convenient for him. I asked the bosses to have a meeting with them, and when we did, yes, I once again tried to convince them to disband the Team Star and I told them that I was leaving the team for good. Of course they didn't accept either of the ideas. They asked me to join them again, but I declined. All I could do was leave. I tried to move on. I tried to go back to the Naranja Academy and it worked for some time. Since Team Star was kept secret before the incident and all of the school staff was new, no one knew I was a member of them since I was sent abroad. But it wasn't the same without my friends. I waited day after day to see them in school again, but that never happened. I started skipping school more and more, and some time later I met with Ash, and I still find myself unable to tell him anything about all this. I was going to try and ask him to fight the bosses in official battles so they would be forced to give him their badges and resign their positions, to save them from being expelled for their actions, but that could have risen some suspicions from our traveling group. Not to mention any of the bosses could tell Ash the truth about me. No, I can't let that happen. I'll explain him when I'm ready. Naranja Academy, Mesagoza, Paldea. Dendra confessed to Ash before any of us could. Iono shouted while she was in Nemona's room, both of them now wearing Team Star outfits. Nemo, what are we supposed to do? What if she makes him develop a mommy fetish? We can't compete with that. Her boobs are so big. I mean, yours are not that small, but Penny or I are pretty flat. Hey, Nemo, are you listening? Quote. Why yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking about what Penny said. Nemona answered. I mean, she's kinda right. Team Star have never been a huge deal, but I guess we don't lose anything by going to check. Though I still wonder why she defended them like that, considering they've caused us some trouble before. Wait, you don't know? Iono asked. Don't know what? Nemona asked. About Penny and. Iono thought for a second before looking away. Nothing. Hey, shouldn't we leave already? Guess we should. Ash and Miss Dendra must be waiting for us outside the academy. Nemona answered. Let's get going. So Nemona doesn't know either. Iono thought. I didn't mention it because I knew Penny's secret was important to her, but the things I read in her diary. Something in your head? Nemona asked. And no. Of course not. Iono giggled nervously. I'm just, thinking about the whole situation with Dendra. Yeah, I suppose we should confess to Ash too, right? Nemona asked. Sure, but let's wait until this thing is over. Iono replied. Even then, Nemo, which one of us do you think Ash will choose? I'm not sure. Ash won't tell us who's his favorite. Well, he explicitly said he didn't have a favorite. Iono replied. But he also said that he liked us all. Nemona said. If that's the case, he surely wouldn't want to hurt out feelings, so I guess the most likely outcome is that he'll reject us three and we'll all simply stay as friends. Not necessarily. Iono trailed off. Ash could have one more option. You don't mean. Nemona simply covered her mouth as she blushed. How would that even work? Well, it all started out as a joke from my fans, but the more I think about it. Iono smiled to then sigh. Listen, this a very big decision, so let's wait until we can talk it out with Penny, fine. Oh, of course. Nemona stuttered. Meanwhile with Ash and Dendra. Hey, kid, do you mind if I ask you a question? Dendra said in the entrance of the academy, both Ash and her also wearing Team Star uniforms. It's about that date you mentioned. Ash asked. Quote. Let's leave that for another day. Dendra replied blushing. No, it's not that, it's about you, about what you're doing right now. I mean, you're the world champion, why are you challenging gyms here in Paldea? Well, I just wanted to keep exploring, seeing new things, meeting new people and Pokemon. Ash answered. I don't like to stay still in one place. That's what you say, but your face says something else. Dendra said. And that still sounds like a bit of a downgrade. I mean, you defeated Steven, Cynthia and Leon, you became the strongest trainer in the world, only to start from scratch in another region with a new Pokemon team. Why? Well, to be honest. Ash stood silent for a moment until he let out a heavy sigh. I've already explained this to Penny, Nemona and Iono, so I guess it's fair to tell you too. Truth is that since the Masters 8 ended I've been feeling odd. I'm confused. I'm wondering what I'm supposed to do next. Everyone says that I'm the best trainer in the world now, and well, my dream was to become a Pokemon master, but I feel like I still have so much more to learn before I get to be that. And these last years made me realize that at the end of the day both of those titles are, well, titles, nothing more than that. They don't really define what I am, right? I see. So you're having a bit of an existential crisis. Dendra said. Not only that, but I also feel like being a world champion is already too much for me. Like, I have never been that much fan of being famous. Sure, I don't mind doing interviews with Iono, but that's because it's just the two of us, being surrounded in a studio with people and a professional. Asking me private questions is quite different. Going to events day after day, stuff like that. Guess you can say I'm running away from my responsibilities. You're being too hard on yourself, kid. Dendra replied. You're still quite young. It's perfectly normal that all those things confuse you so much. But even then, first you became the Alolan champion, then the world champion, and since you're taking on the Palden gyms, what will happen if, or rather, when you become champion rank here? Or even top champion? Will you just reset again and keep hoping from region to region until you're 50? I honestly don't know. Maybe I should just take a break from traveling altogether. Ash sighed. Just take it easy, kid. Dendra put a hand over his shoulder. Listen, you need to stop trying to push yourself. I told you, if you're not ready for those things yet, that's nothing to be embarrassed about. Everyone has struggles. That's what makes us humans. Best you can do is listen to your heart and simply do what you feel it's the best for you. Quote. Thanks a lot, Miss Dendra. Ash smiled at her. Geez, you can just call me Dendra. Don't make feel so old. She replied, blushing again. Only if you stop calling me kid. Ash replied. I guess that's fair. She smiled as well. Ash. Very well, Dendra. He winked and caused her to giggle. We're ready, guys. Iono shouted, walking to them alongside Nemona. Are we good to go? Nemona asked. I'm ready if you are. Dendra looked at Ash. Then let's move. Ash answered. Quote. Or maybe we should go to Penny's room and try to convince her to come with us. And no, Ash, I think we should let her be, you know. Iono asked, rather nervous. I honestly have a feeling she's not even there. She thought. Guess you're right, wouldn't want to push her if she doesn't want to. Ash said. We'll just tell her everything that happened once we're back. Shadar's squad base, Area 1. Very well, guys, the code has been officially changed. Giacomo said to the other team star bosses. The 5 of them were sitting in a round table with a few papers on top of it. Not that I'm too happy about that, but situation changes. And with situation, you mean Ash Ketchum, correct? Ortega asked. And the fact he beat you and beat Mela 3 times no less. That's not gonna happen again. Mela said, holding a net ball. Not now that we got our little friend. Even then, the only reason why you two are still bosses is because Ketchum wasn't aware of the condition that forced us to hand over our badges and positions if we were defeated. Atticus answered. Thought I do wonder why didn't she say anything about it. Not only that, but I'm still surprised that she straight up fought against you, guys. Ares said. I mean, she does know we're all still friends, right? She honestly seemed to be hesitating a bit. Giacomo said. But when Ketchum asked for help, she joined him in an instant. My bet is that she hasn't told Ketchum about her relationship with us. Ortega said. She must be making a facade for him. If that's true, then you two could have busted out her masquerade. Atticus asked. You could have simply told Ash the truth about her. Well, I didn't know he didn't know. Giacomo said. And we didn't even talk to her. You know Mela has gotten really sensitive. I'm not sensitive. Mela shouted, slamming her fist into the table. I just thought it wasn't worth it. Besides, she has been traveling with him for a while and she would obviously defend herself. Ketchum would have no reason to believe us. I really don't like the way things have turned out. Ares said. Now she's acting like she doesn't know us because of Ash. That was her choice, girl. Giacomo said. No use wasting tears on her. Guess our dear Cassiopeia decided she had become too important, so now she only hangs out with the world champion instead of her true friends. Mela said. Well, former friends. Melly. Ares sighed. Never mind that. All of our grunts are here as we accorded. Ortega said. Shall we announce them the plan? Of course we will. Mela said, standing up. Are we totally sure about this though? Ares asked. You saw how much damage that thing caused. And it's exactly because of that we're gonna use him, Ares. Mela smirked. We need all the damage possible. Even then, it could get out of control. Ares incited. And guys, I still think this is a bad idea. This definitely feels like a no-return point. If we do this, people will never stop fearing us. We can't control their fear, my lady. Atticus replied. Only our own. Excuse me, bosses. A grunt walked in their room. What's the matter, Carmen? Ari asked. The big boss is here. She answered, surprising the five of them. Speak of the devil, Atticus said. So she shows up her face again. Ortega said. What should we do? Giacomo asked. Well, let her in, of course. Ari replied. After all that we just talked about? Ortega asked. We still owe her respect despite everything. Atticus replied. None of us would be here if it wasn't for her. Quote. Tell her to come in. Mela said. We can do that at much. Understood. Carmen nodded and left the room only to return some seconds later accompanied by Penny, while the five bosses looked at her in silence. Quote. Carmen, leave us alone. Mela said. Sure, hasta la vista. She made their salute rather nervous and left the room. It's been a while, guys. Penny smiled at them, finally breaking the silence. Glad to see you all again. Penny, Ari exclaimed to then go and hug her. I'm so happy to see you again. It's been ages. Ari, my bones. Penny struggled to talk. Oh, right, sorry. She answered, letting go off Penny. My lady. Atticus took a bow at her. It's a pleasure to be graced by your presence again. Glad to see you didn't change either. Penny smiled again. Momo, Orti, Melly, guys. You got some nerve showing up here again, Cassiopeia. Mela said. You know you guys don't have to call me that anymore. Penny answered. Cassie, Penny, whatever, I don't really care. Mela replied. What brings you here? Giacomo asked. Or rather, what do you want? Ortega asked. Director Clavel heard about your reunion and is going to send a group to find out what it'll be about. Penny replied. So you came to warn us? Ari said, hugging her again. That means you still care about us. Oh, of course I still care about you guys. Penny said. But I mean, it's not like it's a warning. The people they're sending aren't dangerous at all, and you're not doing anything harmful, right? Yeah, harmful. Ortega coughed. What is this reunion all about? Penny asked. Should we tell her? Giacomo asked. Tell me what? That depends. Can we trust you? Ortega asked. She did come and warn us. Atticus replied. I imagine we should. Well, I say we shouldn't. Mela replied and walked towards Penny until she was face to face with her. In case you forgot, Penny, you abandoned us some time ago. You're not part of Team Star anymore. Wasn't that what you wanted? Come on, Melly, she's still our founder. Ari replied. What about the times when we were back in the squad? We all relied so much in Penny. That doesn't change what happened later, what you did. Mela answered, pointing at Penny. You really thought we'd follow you into disbanding Team Star? There's no more need for this. The bullies have been gone for a long time now. Penny said. So you haven't heard the news? Atticus asked. What news? Penny asked. How many times do we need to say that we don't have to tell you anything? Mela asked. I'm being serious here, guys. Penny continued. You can't just keep skipping school. Everyone's scared of you. There's rumors running around. Director Clavel even think you guys could do something against the school. Hey, until he has Something right in his mind. Mela smirked. Mela, please tell me he's wrong. Penny said. Listen, Penny, Team Star is way more than a support group now. Ari said. We're all a family, us and all of our grunts, even you. You can't just ask us to disband a family like it doesn't matter. Which is why we all agreed to change the code. Ortega said. Now none of us are forced to give up our positions as bosses if we're ever defeated. So you did that. Penny sighed. I actually was going to tell Ash about that rule to see if I could make you all stand down. What? But Penny. Ari shouted. So you were even willing to try and force us out? Atticus asked. How dare you? I'm just thinking about your future. Penny shouted. You can't just keep doing this forever. You've been skipping school for over a year now. It's a miracle that Director Clavel hasn't expulsed you yet. Great. Now you're sounding like my mom. Giacomo complained. Don't speak like you're some kind of angel, Penny. Mela said. Who was the one who pushed us to form the anti-terrorism squad in the first place? Wasn't that you? Why yes, but, listen, we're not going to disband Team Star. Mela interrupted. It doesn't matter what you, Ketchum or anyone else in that stupid academy thinks, so out of the way. Mela pushed Penny to the floor and left the room being followed by Giacomo and Ortega while Ari and Atticus stayed to help Penny stand up. She didn't hurt you, did she? Ari asked. Don't worry, I'm fine. Penny replied. You'll have to excuse her, my lady. Atticus said. You know she's always been hot-tempered and since she took over most of you duties after you left, it only has gotten worse. Don't say it like that, Melly just wants our family to stay together. Ari said. Penny, were you really going to use Ash to force us out of the team? Yes, I was, but like I told you, I only wanted to do it because I'm worried about you. Penny replied. Ash is the best trainer I've ever seen, so if guys hadn't changed the code it would have worked. And even then, knowing that we were all here in this spot, knowing that he could have challenged us in some kind of boss rush, you didn't bring him with you. Atticus said. So our theories must be right. You've been keeping thy story with Team Star as a secret from him. Yes, I haven't told him. Penny admitted. But why would you lie to him? Ari asked. You know people are scared of us, but if you explained Ash the truth about us then someone like him could spread the word and help us. I guess I haven't thought about that. Penny sighed. But by now, it's been so long since I met him, if he finds out I've been hiding something like that from him. I don't want to lose Ash's trust. It seems like Cassiopeia is ashamed of her past with us. Atticus said, crossing his arms. What? No, Atticus, I could never. Penny shouted. Ari, I fear it's about time we leave. Atticus said to then abandon the room as well. Our people are waiting. The announcement must be done with all 5 of us there. Just what is that announcement about? Penny asked. If you really want to know, best way is that you go and see it yourself. Ari said. Penny, are you really ashamed of us? Of course not, but we have to grow up, guys. Penny replied. I see. Ari clenched her fists for a moment as she looked at Penny. I see you've changed. Can't say I blame you. No one stays the same after a year of overseas studies, but why do you think we haven't gone to school in more than a year too? We were waiting for you. We welcomed you with open arms and the first thing you say once you're back is that Team Star should disband. And now you're even fighting against us. All because you met Ash and he's suddenly more important to you than all the memories we had together. Ari, calm down. Penny shouted. Don't you tell me to calm down. Ari shouted, slamming her fist into the wall and leaving a big crack on it. A few tears then came out of her eyes and her face paint started to wash out. Oh, that's just perfect. Ari pulled out a white cloth and fully cleaned her face to then look directly at Penny. For a second, when I saw you walking in some minutes ago, I thought that you changed your mind. She said while her tears continued to flow out. I thought that you were gonna come back with us. You just don't know how much it hurts all of us to see you of all people trying to pull us apart. I thought that Mela's idea was too extreme. I thought there could be another way, but Atticus and I lost the voting 2-3. Maybe if you had been here you could have done something about it. Done something about what? Penny asked. It's all because of that stupid school, those stupid teachers who never did anything about it. And after seeing what happened to you. Ari clenched her fists again and quick cleaned her tears. Guess Mela is right. Guess it has to be this way. I won't tell you the plan, but you can stay and watch the announcement. Then you're going to leave and you better don't show up your face here or in any of our bases ever again. And if you and your boyfriend even try to stop us. Ari punched the wall and broke a hole onto it. Quote. You know perfectly what I'm going to do. Ari, what happened? Carmen shouted, running back into the room. I heard you screaming and then, oh. She took off her glasses to look at the hole in the wall. Sorry about that. I lost my temper. Ari said to then leave the room. Don't worry. I'll fix it. Do you need help putting on your mask again? Carmen asked, running behind Ari while Penny was left with nothing but plenty of thoughts in her head. Quote. What have I done? She asked. Meanwhile outside the base. So this is the place. Ash said while Dendra, Iono and Nemona were hiding behind some trees alongside him and Corridon, who had given the group a ride to the base, with the 4 trainers still wearing Team Star outfits. What's the plan, Captain? Iono asked him. We'll simply get inside and blend in. Don't do anything that could look suspicious. Ash answered. We're only here to know why the bosses are holding this big reunion. Let's try to not start a fight. Hold on a second there. A voice shouted from behind them and the group turned around to see a man wearing an academy uniform and a big blonde wig. How do you do, fellow kids? Director Clavel. Ash asked. Oh, I see you're confusing me with my dear friend, the director. He answered. My name's Clive, a normal student of the academy. Since you're a member short, Mr. Clavel personally asked me to join you in this investigation. Mr. Clavel. Like I said, my name's Clive, please don't forget it. He interrupted Dendra. Ash and the girls then looked at each other in confusion for a moment. Well, welcome in, Clive. Ash said. I hereby thank you. Clive answered. Sure. So, here. Iono looked in her backpack and gave Clive another Team Star helmet. You can use this to blend in if you're really coming with us. Interesting idea, but are you sure they'll let us in? Clive asked, putting on the helmet above his hair. It can't be that easy. Hey, what are you doing here? A grunt shouted after spotting them. Come on in, the bosses will make their announcement in a minute. It was that easy, Dendra said. A few moments later. After being guided by the grunt, Ash and his group were now in the middle of a crowd. Apparently none of the grunts suspected anything. Penny was also in a different spot between the crowd, but not her nor Ash's group had noticed each other's presences. Meanwhile, Mela, Ortega, Giacomo and Atticus were all standing in a stage in front of the group of grunts, until Eri finally walked into the stage as well, now with her face paint done again. Thanks for coming, everyone. Mela said to the grunts. I think it's been enough mystery. The reason we asked you all to come here is this little orange envelope and what's inside it. I'd like to read this to all of you. That's a school notice from the Naranja Academy, isn't it? Nemona asked. Looks like it. Dendra replied. Dear students. Mela started reading the letter. This is a special message from the Naranja Academy. Now that it's been almost 2 years since the incident, it seems like the perfect moment to tell you that we're terribly sorry that the villain's Team Star forced you to drop out from our prestigious academy. She said, earning a gasp from the crowd. Yeah, that's right, Giacomo said. This letter was sent to each and every one of those dumbasses that we scared off. We know Team Star pestered you for months. Mela continued reading. And that simply leaving was the best choice you had to escape from those savages. Well, quite the fancy words they're using. Ortega said to then grab the letter and continue to read. That's why we'd like to offer you a chance to return to your studies in our academy. We know that we failed to protect you from Team Star. PFFT, I can't even read this nonsense. Ortega then handed over the letter to Atticus, who sighed before taking it. But have it be known that the academy now has a completely new staff. Atticus continued. They were informed of what happened and they'll make sure that none of you have to suffer from such threats again, and we can assure you that this menace known as Team Star will be promptly dealt with and punished for what they shamelessly did to you. They'll all be expelled and arrested. We'll be waiting for your return. Signed by Director Clavel. What in the heck was all that, Mr. Clavel? Dendra asked. Like I said, my name is Clavel. He answered. I mean, Clive, but I can assure you that the director had no idea of this. He couldn't have sent that letter, but then who sent it? Well, isn't that just great? Mela shouted to the grunts. The bullies get an apology and they're all going to return to the academy. Do you think that's fair? No. The crowd shouted. Do you think they changed? Do you think they won't bully the other students anymore? Mela shouted again. Do you think we should forgive them? No. Forgive them? Ash asked. So the new staff knows what happened, huh? Mela asked. The idiots that were before them just told them the version that saved their asses. Well, that's perfect. Mela tossed the net ball in the air and it released what appeared to be a Volcarona, but far more large and apparently unable of flying since it landed straight into the stage to then roar. The Volcarona also was far more fuzzy and had 4 legs and a long tail. That's a very weird Volcarona. Iono said. Wait, Ash, don't you think that's one of the Pokemon the professors mentioned? Nemona asked, and they both looked at Corydon, who was looking surprised at the bug. Is that one of your friends? Ash asked and Corydon nodded. The professors? Clive asked, looking at both Pokemon. Sada, Turo, What have you done? Meet our little fella. We call it Strolcarona. Giacomo said to then laugh. Get it? 'Cause he's a Volcarona, but it can't fly, so it goes for a stroll, ha 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 ha. Yeah, we definitely need a better name. Mela said. I've been thinking of Slither Wing, that sounds way cooler. Point is, this big guy is gonna help us. We tried to talk to the teachers about the bullying many times. Eri finally talked. We asked for their help, but they never listened. Well, people, I think it's about they hear us out, don't you think? Mela shouted. Yes. Mela, what are you doing? Penny asked. We're gonna send the academy a message that they'll never forget, a message that they won't ignore. Mela said. Those idiots bullied us for years and no one ever cared. And when we finally gathered the courage to stand up and fight back, the bullies are now the victims. So they want to make us the villains. They want to treat us as the villains. They want to expel us. They want to arrest us. Hey, not if we strike first. That academy never gave us anything but suffering. So we're going to make our own school. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. Nemona said. But a foundation has to be built on something. Mela smiled. We're gonna burn down the Naranja Academy into nothing but an ugly black. We'll turn the whole building to cinders. She shouted and Slither Wing roared again as the grunts started to cheer. I take it back. Nemona said. We can't let that happen. Clive said. You don't say. Iono replied. Dendra, the things that they said. I honestly don't know, Ash. Dendra said. I'm part of that new staff. They told us that Team Star were the bullies. I also didn't get any details. Nemona said. According to the student council, it was something not worth bringing up. So they all just swept it under the rug. Iono asked. But what exactly did they sweep? Ash asked. Looks like we'll have to find out. Clive said. But first, we have to try and put a peaceful ending to all this. We'll break down that corrupt school and rebuild it in what it should have been since the start. Mela continued. A safe place where no kid has to be hurt, where no girl is going to be left behind, but we'll have time to rebuild tomorrow. Tonight, we strike. Jaws. Corridon roared, getting the attention of the crowd and the bosses, including Penny, who recognized the group despite their outfits and quickly hid away from them. Vra HBRBRBR. Slither Wing roared as well and attacked with a hyper beam. Skulldurge. Ash released the Fire Croc, who took the hit and received no damage thanks to his ghost typing. Hey, what? I thought Corridon was its leader or something, why did it attack him? Iono asked. Maybe because Corridon doesn't have access to his full form right now. Nemona replied. Well, looks like our special guests did arrive after all. Mela smiled. So the group that she mentioned. Atticus trailed off. Why don't you just show yourselves and save us the trouble? Ortega asked. Guess there's no use in hiding anymore. Dendra was the first to take off the helmet and was followed by the rest of the group, with Ash taking a step forwards as the grunts surrounded them. Speak of the devil 2.0, huh? Giacomo asked. So this is Ash Ketchum. Eri said, clenching her fists again. The villainous trench who was meant to be a danger to us. Atticus said. Welp, is always a pain in the ass to see you, Ketchum. Mela said. You didn't have enough with stealing Charlos from me, did you? Charlos decided to come with me because he wants me to stop you. Ash answered, releasing Armarouge, who set his eyes in Mela. He knows this isn't what you want. PFF'd, you have no idea of what we want. Mela smirked. I can see you all care for each other and I can tell you suffered. Ash answered. But I can't let you do this. Shut up. Eri shouted, jumping from the stage and landing in front of the group, causing the ground to shake a little. Ash Ketchum. You'll pay for taking her away from us. I'm gonna beat your ass like a RILLABOOM drum. Why a Rillaboom drum specifically? Clive asked. Maybe because she looks like one. Nemona whispered. Hey, no body shaming. Iono said. Take her away from you. Ash asked. What is going on in this place? If you want to hurt him, you'll have to get through me. Dendra shouted. Alright, I'm flexible. Eri crackled her knuckles while the rest of the grunts released their Pokemon. And as you can imagine, Ketchum, we can't let you go now that you know the plan. Mela said as Slither Wing roared again. I have to help them. Penny stuttered. But then they'd know the truth. And if I helped them, I'd be a fully fledged traitor to Team Star. What am I supposed to do? Years ago, somewhere in Paldea. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Finally, a young blonde girl shouted in her room with a massive smile. You're finally here. Oh, wait, I'm going too fast, aren't I? Sorry. Let me take it slowly. She said to then take a deep breath and calm herself. My name is Mela Koton and you're my first Pokemon. You were an egg and I've been taking care of you for a month now and it makes so happy that you finally hatched. Okay. Now I have to give you a nickname. I need a good one, a real good one. You're my starter after all. Well, you're a Charcadet, so how about Charlos? How do you like that? Char. The Charcadet simply raised his thumb. All right. She smiled to then hug Charlos. We're gonna be the best friends ever. Some years later. Charlos, look here. I got you a gift. Mela said to the Charcadet. Today marks the 5th anniversary of the day you hatched and we met, so I brought you something really special. It was a real pain to get my hands on these, but here they are. Mela then showed her starter 2 pieces of metal, one of them golden and the other dark purple. You know what these are, right? She asked and Charlos nodded. Then go on and pick one, it's your choice. Charlos stared at both metals for a moment but eventually picked the golden one, which then started to shine alongside him and evolved him into an Armarouge. Yes. Look at you, you're so tall. Mela cheered while hugging the Armarouge. Now you and I will be stronger than ever before. As for the malicious armor, I think I'll give it to a Methio. He also got a Charcadet and I bet a Ceruledge would fit him, since he's kinda edgy, you know. Anyway, back to us, how about we go and get some training with Eri? It's not like I want to take advantage of the fact that you're a psychic type now or anything. A few years later. Alright, the group chat is done, but we still need a name for it. Penny said to her friends. Giacomo, Mela, Atticus, Ortega and Eri were all in her backyard forming a circle. How about bullying support group? Eri suggested. That sounds a little sad. Ortega replied. Yeah, we need something cooler. Mela said. We aren't just dealing with bullies, we're dealing with fully fledged villains. Correct. Atticus nodded. People who base their existence in the sole purpose of causing shame to others, they're barely even humans. Yeah, those guys are borderline terrorists. Penny said. Hey, that's it. Giacomo snapped his fingers. From now on, we shall be known as the Anti-Terrorism Squad. Now that's the cooler name I was waiting for. Mela said. I agree. Atticus replied. Sounds perfect. Eri said. Good to me. Ortega added. Fine, that will be our official name then. Penny accepted the idea. Those bullies will have to stop bothering us eventually, so for now let's just keep supporting each other. I know everything's gonna be alright as long as we stay together. Eri smiled. You're totally right, Eri. Mela smiled as well. And I'm sure everything will just get better and better for us starting from this moment. Some weeks later. What do you mean they don't believe her? A man asked. I mean exactly that. They think she's lying. A woman answered. Then why don't we just call the police or sue the academy? He asked again. Cause we don't have any proof. She exclaimed. Isn't Mela's word enough? No, it's not. The one who did this is a relative of the director. He comes from a picture-perfect family. He has all the resources he could want and the support of like the whole region. There would be nothing we could do about it. But we should try at least. But what if it doesn't work? Mela would end up looking like a liar to everyone. And think about all the mess that the media would make about this, with our daughter in the middle of all that. It would hurt her even more than it already has. So I'm supposed to act like none of this happened. It's not that simple. R.O.C.H. Charlos. The woman shouted surprised. Huff, sorry, you scared us, we were just having a parents' talk, nothing you should worry about. Mela still doesn't want to come out. She asked and Charlos shook his head. I see, well, her breakfast is there in the kitchen, go give it to her and please make sure she eats the whole thing this time, can you? Charlos, thanks a lot. The man told him. You know you've been a member of this family since day one. I'm glad Mela has you by her side, especially in a moment like this. Charlos took a bow to both of them and went to the kitchen to take the breakfast in his hands to then walk back to Mela's room, finding her laying in the floor. Ain't in the mood. Mela answered, still in the floor, as Charlos put the breakfast close to her, but then her stomach growled. Fine, but just because it's you, Charlos. She sighed to then sit on the flood. I know I arg. Mela suddenly shouted, holding her stomach. Arma. Charlos shouted while holding Mela. I'm fine. She stuttered. It's fine. It stings from time to time, but the doc already said I'll be fine, so I guess I shouldn't worry about it. Listen, I've been talking with the guys. This was the final straw. We can't let them keep doing things like this to us or the other students. We have a plan. The anti-terrorism squad has a plan. It'll take a month or so to fully prepare it, but we're almost sure it'll work. Can I count on you? R.O. He answered with a nod. Of course I can. Mela gave a weak smile and then hugged her starter. Thank you so much, Charlos. If it wasn't for you, I don't know what it would have been of me. A month later. Well, this is it. Penny took a deep breath. Before we get started, does anyone want to back down? Not in 1,000 years. Giacomo answered. We can't just retreat after what they did to Mela. Eri exclaimed. Everything's going according to the plan. We might not get a chance like this ever again. Ortega said. In case we don't come back, I wanna say it's been an honor serving with you all. Atticus said, and they all nodded to then look at Mela. Quote. Let's rock out, she whispered. The group of 6 then walked to the schoolyard where all of the bullies in the school were present after receiving a fake message from Penny in their phones. And who are you supposed to be? One of the students asked. Listen up, bullies, Giacomo exclaimed as a set of spotlight turned on around the schoolyard to then center on the group. The anti-terrorism squad is long gone. And now, Team Star challenges you all. You're forced down to reckoning, you vile monsters. Atticus said. You messed with one of us. You messed with all of us. Eri shouted. Your reign of terror is going to end tonight, one way or another. Ortega said. Tonight is the night, when we fight back. Penny shouted. Let's do this. Charlos. Mela shouted, releasing her ace. Annihilate. Bisharp. Daxbun. Revavroom. Plusle. Minin. Hey, this will be fun. One of the bullies smirked and they all released their Pokemon as well and began surrounding Team Star. Remember, back to back, keep defending each other. Eri said to her team. It doesn't matter how outnumbered they got us, it's not the size of the Mon in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the Mon. No one gets inside our circle. No one gets inside. They all answered as the fight unfolded, attacks flying left and right, back and forth, while the newly formed Team Star kept the advantage from the very beginning, but as the battle grew longer they were forced to separate in order to keep track of their Pokemon. Charlos. Where are you? Mela asked, unable of seeing him with all the dust that was being kicked up. Well, look what we have here. One of the bullies looked directly at Mela, making her freeze in her place. Why you? Mela stuttered. Mela, don't tell me I'm the cause of all this. He smirked while approaching her. You really made such big ruckus because of that. Get away from me. Mela whispered, taking a few step backs. GG, get away from me. She shouted out loud, getting the attention of our teammates who quickly ran in the direction of the scream to aid her. Don't talk like you didn't have fun too. He continued talking for Mela. Why don't we repeat it? R.O. Charlos fell from above and landed in front of the student. He then looked back at Mela. And seeing the fear in her eyes, Charlos pointed his cannon to the chest of the bully, being only a few centimeters away from him. What do you think you're? Boom. A loud explosion was heard, a body dropped in the ground, and after several seconds of heavy silence. Everybody scatter. One of the bullies shouted, and they all started retreating while also picking up the one that Charlos attacked, leaving only the members of Team Star and their Pokemon in the schoolyard. We did it. Mela whispered. We won. Mela, are you okay? Eri shouted, running to her and taking her in a hug. Charlos, why did you do that? Penny shouted. Hey, he was defending me. Mela exclaimed as she separated from Eri. Why you know that was who? Mela, did you even see what happened? Penny shouted again. That was a point-blank armor cannon to his chest. He could be dead. And who cares? Mela answered. We won. Those idiots will never bother us anymore. This is how it feels when you finally take a stand and fight back. We did this for every time that we got tripped or punched or spit on or humiliated. We did this for what they did to me. Don't you see it, guys? We're heroes. I'm glad to see you feel better at least. Giacomo said. Though I must admit it could have been cleaner, we should be proud of this battle. Atticus said. That's right, we merely fought for the values we believed in. Ares said. Yep, no shame in fighting for what's right. Ortega said. And we didn't even need to use the star mobiles, it would have been an overkill if we did, those guys didn't stand a chance. Now those bullies know they shouldn't mess with us. Mela smiled. So we really won. Penny said to then look at Charlos, who was standing still while staring at the blood in his hands. Hey, I'm sorry about what I said. Penny talked to him. I know you were only protecting Mela, like you always do. Best Team Star can do right now is staying together, whatever comes next. Quote. R.O. Armarouge simply nodded and looked at Mela to see her smiling. It had been a long time since the last chance he got to see her smiling. 2 weeks later. What do you mean? Mela asked. I mean exactly what I said. Penny sighed. Team Star has to disband. But you're our founder. Ares shouted. You were the one who said we had to stick together. I know, but with all that happened after the fight, I think I've recollected my thoughts. I told you, I will be sent back to Galar to study abroad for a whole year. I won't be here to guide you. And even though Director Harrington is investigating the whole thing, even though the one who Charlos attacked survived and none of the bullies presented charges, the damage is already done. All of the bullies dropped out from the Naranja Academy saying that we had been bullying them for years and we attacked them for no reason. And everyone believed them, now everyone thinks we're the villains. So you're basically saying all hope is lost now? Ortega asked. Of course not. Penny replied. Listen, the bullies are gone, the academy is clear, it's over, you guys can all start from scratch now. But what if you don't want to start from scratch? Giacomo asked. Yeah, what if we want to stay like this? What if we like what we have now? Ares asked. This is for your own good, guys, please. Penny sighed again. I'm leaving now. My flight to Galar is tomorrow and there's still some things I need to prepare. Penny was about to leave the room but was then stopped by Mela, who placed a hand on Penny's shoulder. So you're really going to abandon us? Mela asked. You know I don't have a choice here. Penny said. Yes, you have. Mela shouted. Why don't you take a stand like we did against the bullies? Why don't you tell Harrington you don't want to go anywhere? Because going back to Galar was the prize I had to pay so you guys wouldn't be expelled from the academy. Penny shouted back. We took things too far and you know it. Those bullies took things too far first and you know it. Mela answered. And who cares if we get expelled from that bullshit school? With due respect, noble boss. Atticus called her. While we appreciate the fact that you were willing to sacrifice yourself to that extent for our well-being, we never asked you to take the full responsibility of the event. That's right. We did all of this together. Ortega said. It's not fair that you're the only one who pays. Ares said. Penny. Mela took another step towards her. Listen, if you tell us to do it right now, we promise we'll do everything in our power to make sure you stay here with us. Quote. This is an official order from the big boss of Team Star, Cassiopeia. Penny stared at the group with a serious look. We are disbanding. Quote. Are you sure that's all you have to say? Giacomo asked. I do. Penny simply nodded. Fine then, it's your life. Mela gave in. Hasta la vista. She made the team salute along the others. Quote. And thanks for everything. You guys. Penny sighed again and the six shared a group hug before Penny left the room. So does this means we're really disbanding? Ares asked. Of course not. Mela smirked. Guess there's nothing we can do if she wants go and be on her own, but just like we can't force her to stay, she can't force us to disband, am I right? But what are we supposed to do now? Ares asked. Team Star won't be the same without Penny. You're right, Ares, it'll be even better. Mela replied. I'll be taking the lead from now on. Anyone got a problem with that? I guess not. Ortega shrugged his shoulders. Perfect. Then our first mission right now is to recruit more people. We all got friends who had been bullied too, right? Gather all the ones you can and get them to join. They'll be your grunts and you'll lead them in your own squads that will form the new Team Star. Great idea. It'll also be a good chance to explain them what really happened. Ares said. Geez, I'll have to write all those things in our code now. Giacomo said. Speaking of that, considering all the changes that will occur from now on, we should make a revision of our rules. Atticus replied. Oh, I got an idea. Giacomo said. How about we make a rule that forces us to drop out from our boss's positions if we're ever defeated in a Pokemon battle? Why? Ortega asked. Yeah, why would we agree to something like that? Mela asked. Just to give some more spice to the whole thing. Giacomo answered. I mean, it could push us to give our all in every battle. Ares said. Sure, there has to be a better way to inspire us. Mela said. But well, we'll have time to think about rules later. For now, go and gather more people. Bosses, this is the new dawn of Team Star, and I, as the new big boss, have very important things to do. Some weeks later at the Shadar base. Armor cannon. Mela ordered and Charlos shot down a pile of school books, setting them on fire. Ha, now that's better. She smiled while Charlos was staring at her. Hey, why are you looking at me like that? R.O. He answered, pointing at the burning books. What's the matter? Those were just a bunch of useless things I'll never use again. She answered. R.O. Charlos pointed at her. What do you mean with R.O.? Don't tell me you want me to go back to school. She asked and the knight nodded. Are you serious? After everything that happened? Don't tell me you really believe what Penny said. Mela shouted. Rouge. He continued. Charlos. Just think about it. There's nothing left for us there. Mela replied. We were bent and broken in that place. Our dignity was stolen. All of the bad things that ever happened to our friends happened in that stupid school where those stupid teachers were supposed to protect us, but they never did anything. You want something like that to happen to me again? Arma. Charlos frantically shook his head. Well, it looks like you want to. Mela kept shouting. You know what? I'm even disappointed in you. You should have killed that guy. R.O. Charlos looked at Mela with his eyes wide open after what she said. Arg. Enough. I'm not discussing this with you. Mela pulled out Charlos' quick ball and activated it, but he made a quick movement and avoided the ray. I said return. Mela was about to activate the ball again, but Charlos shiftily took the ball out of her hand and took a few steps back. What do you think you're doing? Mela shouted again as Charlos stared at her. You should have killed that guy. Charlos closed his eyes for a moment and then tossed up the quick ball to prepare an armor cannon and shoot it down, destroying it into pieces. What? Mela asked softly after processing what happened. Charlos. Why did you do that? Tears started to flow out of Mela's tears. Charlos stared at her for a brief moment before turning around and starting to run away. Wait, please. Mela started to run after him, but her boots caused her to fall as the Armarouge kept running away. I'm begging you, don't leave me alone. Charlos. I'm sorry. Charlos said in his mind as he disappeared in the distance. 2.5 years later. It's a whole new world we live in. Ash sung softly as he took the first steps of his Paldean journey, with Pikachu on his shoulder as always. Here we go, buddy. A new beginning. We may be monarchs now, but remember, there's always room to grow. Now let's hope nothing too crazy happens in our first day. Leave us alone. A feminine voice called out in the distance. And so it begins. Ash and Pikachu sighed to then smile. Well, when duty's calling answer. He exclaimed to then run to where he heard the voice come from. Cyndaquil. A male teen reached out to his knocked out Pokemon. Return him and stay back. Said a girl with black and bluish hair and a rollet in her shoulder. We'll take care of the rest. Are you totally sure about that? Another girl asked her, being accompanied by an Oshawott. Please just give me back my pendant. The black-haired girl shouted. Nah, thanks, I think I'm keeping this, it's quite pretty. Mela answered holding a green hexagonal pendant while being on top of her Starmobile while her grunts surrounded the trio of trainers. Maybe next time you'll think it twice before entering one of Team Star's domains. Please just give it back. The girl with the rollet insisted. It's very important to me. Why should I caare? Mela sung mockingly. Oshawott. Razor Shell. The other girl ordered and her Pokemon jumped to attack. Thunder Fang. Mela released a Houndoom that caught Oshawott midair and then slammed him into the ground. Rollet. Brave Bird. Sludge Bomb. Houndoom shot a ball of ooze from his mouth and knocked out Rollet into the floor as well. And now to make sure you remember your lesson. Inferno. Mela ordered and Houndoom then howled and expelled a black flame from his mouth towards the three trainers. Pikachu. Use Surf. The mouse jumped from above and tossed an orb of water from his tail. The orb then turned into a wave that washed down the inferno while Pikachu landed in front of the trainers and Ash made it into the scene as well. That's him. The black-haired girl whispered. Hey, mister. We need help here. The boy shouted. That girl with the giant boots stole my friend's pendant. The other girl shouted. Leave it to us. Ash replied. Oh, yeah, well, come and get it. Mela shouted. Don't mind if we do. Ash answered and Pikachu jumped to his hands to then let Ash toss him upwards, with the rodent ending up falling on top of Mela's head to then take the pendant and toss it to Ash. Hey, get off. Mela shouted and her Houndoom jumped aiming at Pikachu, but he avoided it and Houndoom ended up knocking down Mela instead while Pikachu jumped above the grunts and used Surf again, causing a water explosion that washed out some grunts and their Pokemon, giving the trainers an opening to return their Pokemon and run to where Ash was. I guess this is yours. Ash said handing over the pendant. Thank you so much. She answered placing it back around her neck. No worries, now get out of here, your Pokemon are injured. Ash replied. Are you sure you can handle them all? The other girl asked. Don't worry, we've faced worse, Ash answered but he was then interrupted by a sudden hug from the black-haired girl. I can't believe I finally get to meet you. She said with a big smile as she blushed. Thanks. Ash asked confused. I mean. The girl quickly pulled herself back from Ash and tried to regain her composure. Sorry about that. My name is Liko. Liko Matsumoto and I'm your biggest fan. These are my friends Roy and Ann. And we should be leaving. Ann shouted pushing her friends away to avoid another inferno attack from Mela's Houndoom. Thank you, Mr. T. Thanks again. Liko waved at Ash as they ran away. We'll meet again. I'm sure of it. Nice to meet you too. Roy added. Be safe. Ash replied to then stand in front of the grunts, while Mela and her Houndoom were still on top of the Starmobile. So you helped them escape? Yeah, sure, I'll go get him after I'm done with you. Mela said. But I have to say, I'm impressed. I would very much like to know the name of the man who was causing me so much trouble. My name is Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town. He answered with a rather proud smirk. And you are? PFF'd. I'm Mela, the big boss of Team Star and the leader OS its Shadar squad. Team Star? Huh? Ash asked. Yup. And let me tell you, Ketchum, everyone in Paldea knows that messing with Team Star is a very big mistake. Everyone, back off. He's mine. She shouted and all of the grunts returned their Pokemon while Mela jumped off the Starmobile along her Houndoom. Hey, so that dumb Pikachu is all you have? Mela asked. This will be too easy. Inferno. Quick attack. Pikachu dashed through the black flames and then tackled down Houndoom. The attack was strong enough to push him back, but Pikachu ended up burned afterwards. Ha, like I said. Too easy. Mela laughed out loud. You're just a bit too confident, don't you think? Ash asked. Inferno. Use Surf. The water orb broke through the flames and ended up exploding right onto Houndoom's mouth, pushing down the dark type yet again. Now Thunderbolt. Pikachu made his move and Houndoom was then knocked out completely causing all the grunts to gasp. He defeated the big boss's ace. One of the grunts said. With just 3 hits. Another grunt added. What do we do now? Other grunt asked. Welp. You asked for it. Mela smirked again as she returned Houndoom. Blazing torque. She suddenly shouted and her Starmobile set itself in flames. Wait, what? Ash asked before the car drove itself towards Pikachu, who barely avoided it. Well, this is new. Surf again. Pikachu tossed the orb of water and this turned down the fire once it exploded, but the Starmobile quickly set itself in flames again. Roll that rat over. Mela shouted. kept dodging with quick attack. Ash answered and Pikachu did as told despite still being affected by the burn. What even is thing? Thunderbolt. Pikachu jumped high in the air and released his attack, but it didn't even made the Starmobile flinch and the car finally reached him and knocked Pikachu to the floor. What now? Ash asked himself. Aim for the eyes. Someone shouted but no one could spot where the voice came from. That voice. Mela trailed off. Aim for the eyes. Ash repeated to then take a closer look to the Starmobile, spotting 2 eyes in its engine. Is that a Pokemon? Pikachu. Iron tail to the engine. Pikachu jumped in the air again and slammed his tail between the 2 eyes of the engine, causing the fire to turn off. He then made a sideways iron tail and forced the Revavroom out of the Starmobile, which made the car lose its power. Got you. Now Thunderbolt. Pikachu released the electric blast again and the Revavroom was knocked out flat. No. Mela shouted. Anyone else? Ash asked. Grr. Retreat. Mela shouted again and returned the Revavroom to then escape along her grunts, leaving only the empty Starmobile with Ash. Well, this is quite the first day. Ash said, taking a closer look to the car while Pikachu jumped back to his shoulder. Excuse me. Someone talked to him and Ash turned around to find a girl with glasses, a big black jacket and an EV backpack. Hey there, you okay? He asked. Why yeah, Sorry about that ruckus, but those people were bothering some trainers, I had to get in the way. Name's Ash Ketchum. And you are? P.P. Penny. My name is Penny. She shouted. Oh, you're a girl. Ash said. Why yeah, wait, you thought I was a boy? Penny asked. You do notice I'm wearing a skirt, right? I don't judge. Ash answered. Wait. You were the one who told me to aim for the eyes of the car, weren't you? Yes, it was me, you seem to need a little help. Penny replied. And I've seen those things in action before. While the two continued to talk, Charlos looked at them from distance after he had seen the whole scene. 2 days later. Ready to keep going? Ash asked, closing his backpack while Penny and him were preparing to continue their journey early in their morning. Sure. Let's just return our Pokemon for now. Penny answered while Pikachu, Fuecoco, Deerling, Plusle and Minun were all playing together, but they all suddenly stopped and started looking around. What's the matter? It looks like they're sensing something. Ash said. Something like what? Penny asked and then tried to pay more attention to her surroundings. Wait, do you hear that? It kinda sounds like a battle theme. Ash asked. Suddenly some trees started to rattle and were then taken down by 2 Starmobiles, with Mela and Giacomo each on top of one. Well, Mela said. What do we? Pulsed el play. Giacomo interrupted her with a song. En esta pista de baile, Momo es el rey Llego el DJ. Shut up. Mela shouted. Now where was I? Yes, ehem. Well, what do we have here? Didn't know you had a girlfriend, Ketchum. So she's been with him this whole time? Giacomo whispered. Well, better put on a good show to show her we've been doing fine without her. Mela. Giacomo. Penny whispered. You know him too? Ash asked. Why yes. I mean, you see, Team Star is divided in 5 squads, each led by a different boss and, Penny was about to keep explaining but Giacomo's music suddenly turned way too loud. Could you turn down that bullshit? Mela shouted. What for? This is my jam. Giacomo answered. I'll turn my enemies into fans. I'm surrounded by idiots. Mela sighed. Come on, Ketchum. Round 2. You know that you need it. She shouted, releasing a Bale-style Oricorio. And I'm here too. Giacomo added, releasing a Bisharp while still headbanging and singing. Alola. Bueno. Comienzo. Destapo el flow. Gennaro Hazanya's Incredibles, Juegas. K.O. Shut the fuck up. Mela shouted. Lanzo Minas Nocivas, Obras Potentes que Rimen, Serotonina, Toxinas, Ultimo Vidas, Whoa. Xenoglosia Yes Zumbando. Giacomo stopped flat once he received a slap in the face from Mela, who then grabbed him by his collar. Do you really think this is the moment for that? I brought you here to help me beat Ketchum. Not to put on a karaoke. Relax, Mel, I'm just trying to get some inspiration. He answered to then start singing again. In fact, the power that I've found resounds in my music, so let this dark starman pull out his blades and then prove it. Shut your fucking mouth. Mela shouted yet again. Huh, they don't get along as good as I expected. Ash said to then look at Penny, who was staring into the void. What am I supposed to do? She shouted in her mind. They're going to tell Ash everything about me and then he'll stop trusting me and then. Hey, Penny. Ash called her back to reality. Let's show this two how some real teamwork looks like. Quote. Hey. Penny simply smiled. Let's do it then. Everyone, aim for the engines. Pikachu. Surf. Fuecoco. Flamethrower. Deerling. Energy Ball. Plusle. Minun. Thunderbolt. Huh. Mela and Giacomo didn't even have time to react as their Starmobiles exploded and they were sent blasting off along their Pokemon. El equipo estrella ha sido vencido otra vez. Giacomo shouted. This isn't over, catch 'em. Mela shouted as they disappeared in the distance. Yeah, that's how we do it. Ash offered Penny a fist bump and she accepted it as she smiled. I feel like I should be more concerned about the fact that I just sent my friends flying into the stratosphere. Penny thought. Meh, they're surely fine. R.O. A voice called from behind and Ash and Penny turned around to find an Armarouge looking at them. The knight then walked until he was in front of them and knelt before Penny. Charlos. Penny shouted. I'm starting to think you know everyone here in Paldea. Ash said. What? And no. I mean, this is Mela's Armarouge, he's just very polite, that's why he knelt, it's not like we know each other. Penny explained while Charlos showed them a broken yellow and blue object. As that? A piece of a quick ball. Ash asked. Wait, so you escaped from Mela? Penny asked and Charlos nodded. But, you were her first Pokemon, you two were so close, did things really get bad? She asked while Ash gave her a suspicious look. Charlos lowered his head for a moment and then pointed at Ash. The Armarouge then jumped back and stood in fighting position. Hey, I see. Ash smiled. Fuecoco. Let's do this. He said and the Croc prepared himself as well. Show us what you can do, Armarouge. R.O. Take down. Ash gave the order and Fuecoco attacked. But the hit merely pushed Charlos back. The Armarouge then answered with a Psyshock. Shooting 3 pink rays from the spots in his forehead and knocking Fuecoco to the floor. Charlos then rushed towards him with a flame charge, but Fuecoco jumped up to avoid it and then bit down Armarouge's left leg with a crunch. The knight then tried to knock him off, but Fuecoco kept a strong grip with his teeth. Charlos then formed a shadow ball and tossed directly to Fuecoco, causing him to let go off his leg and giving him a chance to kick the Croc away. Use Flamethrower. Ash ordered again. Wait. Penny shouted while Fuecoco made the move and Armarouge simply stood still as his armor absorbed the flames and started to shine brighter. Flash fire. Ash said. Charlos then joined his pauldrons and fired off a massive armor cannon that exploded onto Fuecoco, leaving the starter on the ground again. Fine then, you're just as tough as you look, but we got you a little surprise. He said while pulling out his Terra Orb to then activate it. Terrastallize. Ash tossed the orb above Fuecoco and this surrounded him in crystals to then explode and take the form of a water fountain above Fuecoco's head. Now Terra Blast. Fuecoco took a deep breath and then expelled an attack akin to a hydro pump from his mouth. Charlos tried to withstand the hit, but he was quickly washed away while Fuecoco let out a laugh. Ready to keep going? Ash asked as Charlos stood up again, but the Armarouge simply took a bow and then ran away. Wait, Charlos. Penny shouted. What was all that? Don't worry, something tells me this isn't the last time we see him. Ash said. But anyway, great job, Fuecoco. He told him while the Croc sat down with a big smile. Some weeks later. And welcome back to the Iono zone, Posturatas del Instagram. The streamer talked to her Rotom phone which was recording live while she was in the middle of a snow mountain, wearing a yellow snow jacket adorned with stickers of various electric-type Pokemon, while Ash's Pikachu was inside of her jacket as well, only having his head out of it. As we continue our travel of madness we arrive in the cold mounts of Glaciado, where Ash will fight for his 4th Palden Gym badge. Say hi to our fans, Ash. Hello there. Ash answered wearing a blue snow jacket, while Penny was wearing a red one and Nemona a green one. Nemona then waved at the camera with both hands while Penny simply rolled her eyes. But of course, before any of that happens, Ash has to clear the gym test. Iono continued. And who better to introduce us to it than the gym leader himself? Say hello to the Sub-Zero Shredder. Grusha. Who's 100% not a girl? I think. Yeah, sure. He sighed while the camera focused on him. Well, it's rather simple. All that Ash has to do is defeat my sister in a snowboarding race down the mountains. You don't even have to make it to the finish line before she does. If your style and movements are good enough, she'll count it as clear even if she wins, but it's her decision at the end of the day, not mine. Anyway, we're here, everyone, this is my sister. Sarah. Ash exclaimed, recognizing her. Ash, she asked, seeing him as well. What? Grusha. Penny and Nemona asked. Oh, ho, ho. We got us some drama. Iono made a devilish smile. Who's this beautiful woman that Ash happens to know? An ex-girlfriend, perhaps. What? Grusha. Penny and Nemona shouted again. Hey, 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 easy there. Sarah shouted, blushing madly. I just met Ash and his friends back when I was in Alola in the Poxel Jump games, and I never saw him again until now. We literally met for just one day. Tal parece que yo me acostumbre a tien un solo dia. Iono sung, causing Sarah to blush even more while Grusha's left eye began twitching. Iono, please, nothing at all happened. Ash said. Still, it's always good to see a friend again. He offered Sarah a handshake and she accepted it despite the fact she was still blushing. Oh, well, false alarm, everyone. Iono stuck out her tongue while Penny and Nemona sighed relieved, while Grusha kept staring at the two friends, and Iono also sighed relieved in her mind. So I just have to beat you in snowboarding? Ash asked Sarah. That's the plan, show me how you dance. Sarah told him, and they both took a snowboard from a holder. Alright then. Let's save ourselves anything exaggerated. I know you're quite skilled, so let's just have fun. Stone Edge. Someone shouted from the skirts of the mountain, and a set of rocks were sent flying and hit right on the mountain summit, causing the whole place to crumble. Avalanche. Iono exclaimed with a smile. And why do you look so excited about it? Penny shouted. Everyone, take a snowboard. Grusha shouted. Are you serious? Penny shouted again. Penny, we don't have time for thinking. Nemona told her. I'm not getting on one of those. She continued. Don't worry, I got it. Ash ran to the glasses girl and suddenly took her in a bridal carry. Is this okay? He asked. Oh, wow, sports. Penny stuttered with a massive blush. Ash then jumped on his snowboard while still carrying Penny and started to sled down the mountain, being followed by Iono, Nemona, Grusha and Sarah, each on their own snowboard. Alevantalo. Que yo no soy de aquí. Iono sung. Alevantalo. Nemona sung with her. Yo vine de visita. Iono sung again. Pika pika pie. The mouse sung as well, still inside Iono's jacket. Well, this sure brings some memories. Grusha said. Just enjoy the ride, lil bro. Sarah replied. Whatever you do, don't let me go. Penny shouted, hugging Ash's head while he still carried her in his arms. Penny, this will be easier if you don't cover my eyes. Ash shouted. Watch out for that ramp. Penny exclaimed. Ramp? Ash asked, but before he could react they were sent flying from a ramp, with Penny falling off his arms as they were in the middle of the air. Ash. Penny. R.O. Charlos suddenly came out of nowhere and caught Penny in his arms to then land safely in the snow with her. Charlos. Penny whispered. That Armarouge again. Ash said, landing safely with his snowboard while the knight left Penny softly in the snow to then shot several armor cannons aiming at the avalanche in order to protect her. Ash, watch out, Sarah shouted. Huh. Ash looked behind him and Sarah was going right in his direction, but it was too late for either of them to move aside. Sarah ended up crashing onto him, making them both fall and roll down the mountain onto a snowball until they crashed into a tree right at the bottom of the mountain, leaving them both with swirly eyes, with Iono, Pikachu, Grusha and Nemona arriving shortly afterwards as the avalanche dissipated. You guys okay? Nemona asked. Sure, let's just. Sarah answered until she froze in place once she noticed she had landed on top of Ash. Well, Ash stopped as well as they kept staring at each other. At least I softened your fall, right? I'm really sorry. Sarah shouted quickly, standing up and then helping Ash do the same. Let's just, let's say you cleared the test and forget all of this happened. I got the whole thing recorded. Iono laughed. Say cree muy especial por ser albina. Nemona pouted. Great. Good job, everyone. Hey, Ash, can we talk for a moment? Grusha asked, pushing him away from the girls. Listen, Ash, I understand that you're popular with girls and you honestly deserve it. You've been to hell and back quite a few times. I respect that, but this is my sister we're talking about. I'll crush every bone in your body if you try anything. I think there are more important things we should be worrying about right now. Ash said, slightly nervous. For example, who caused that avalanche? I think I know. Penny answered, arriving along Charlos. Hell yeah, you do. Mela replied, entering the scene along a colossal. Now the question is, how will you make it out of this? Holy Ryko. The real question is, what are those? Iono shouted, pointing at Mela's boots. Are you making fun of me? Mela shouted. Si la boda te queda. Nemona replied. What did you just say? Mela shouted again. Que si la boda te queda. Nemona answered. How do you even walk with those? Sarah asked. PFF'd. Teenagers. Grusha said. Arg. Damn it all. Mela shouted again. I'm here for a rematch, catch 'em. And this time I'll beat you on my own. Mela stared at the group until her sight focused on the Armarouge that was with them. So here you are, she whispered. With them. So you truly abandoned me, huh? After everything we've been through, I thought. Mela stopped for a moment, feeling a pain in her chest. I thought you were my family. Turns out you were just another mindless Pokemon. R.O. Charlos lowered his head for a moment as he closed his eyes. He then walked to Ash and looked him in the eyes to then turn around and her face Mela and her colossal. So this is how it's going to be. Mela whispered in the verge of tears, but she stopped herself from crying. Stone Edge. Flame Charge. Ash gave the order and Charlos avoided the pointy rocks at high speed while being surrounded in flames to then shoulder tackle Colossal. The impact was strong enough to knock him down, but the Colossal then stood back up and started shining bright red and expelling steam. And steam engine, of course. Ash sighed. Sorry about that, idiot, but fighting fire with fire doesn't quite work against me. Mela smirked. Earth power. Colossal roared and the ground beneath Charlos began to crack to then explode in eruptions of orange energy, but he dodged them with flame charge again. Now Psyshock. Charlos shot the 3 rays from his forehead, but Colossal avoided it thanks to his boosted speed and then punched down Charlos. We need to be faster too. Flame charge again. Charlos used the move to boost his speed while spinning around Colossal. Shadow Ball. Charlos formed the orb between his hands and then tossed it directly at Colossal. Stone Edge. Colossal quickly answered the attack and his rocks easily broke through the shadow ball and hit Carlos directly, knocking him down on the snow. Hey, this is too easy. Mela smirked. I almost feel bad for you, Charlos. Almost, but you know what? By mere mercy, I think I'm gonna end this fast. Mela then pulled out a Terra Orb and activated it. Terrastalize. Mela tossed the orb above Colossal and this was surrounded in brown crystals with the image of an ancient stone building appearing on his head. So rock? Ash asked, pulling out his Terra Orb. Then we'll change as well. Ha. Don't even think about it. Mela laughed. Charlos' Terra type is fire. You're just going to make this even easier for me. No, you know what? Go ahead. Arma. The knight looked back at Ash and gave him a thumbs up. Fine then. Terrastalize. Ash shouted, tossing the orb above Armarouge. Stone Edge. Mela shouted and Colossal made the move while Charlos was surrounded by crystals. The rocks were even larger than before and they broke through the crystals and kicked up plenty of dust, but once it settled, Charlos was standing tall and proud with his body surrounded in silver crystals and an axe in his head. Steel. Mela shouted. How? When? What? Here we go. Terra Blast. Ash ordered and Charlos extended his arms forward and his pauldrons moved to his hands, but instead of forming a cannon, they took the shape of 2 metallic gloves. Let's do it. R.O. Charlos made a jump forward and landed a straight punch right on Colossal's chest to then land an uppercut on his chin and continue to punch him several times. Fire Blast. Mela shouted and Colossal shot the move from his mouth and surrounded Charlos in flames. Ha. I guess changing to steel wasn't a good idea after all. Mela laughed out loud. You sure about that? Ash asked with a grin as Charlos started to shine with red light. What? Mela asked. Flash fire. She suddenly realized. You said it yourself, fighting fire with fire doesn't quite work. Ash replied. Terra blast. Charlos focused all his heat in a single point of his right fist and landed a strong blow on Colossal's chest, causing a massive explosion and sending Colossal flying back to then fall defeated on the snow, with the rock Terra crystals that surrounded him breaking down into pieces. And that's that, Ash said while Charlos pounded his fists. The fight is over. I suggest you to leave now. Grusha said with a poke ball on hand. Or I'll be glad to force you out. Yeah, people like you aren't welcome here in Glaciado. Sarah added. People like me aren't welcome anywhere. Mela answered. Everyone made that clear to me and my friends every day in our entire lives. People like you, you're very fine with breaking us, but then you don't want out broken parts. But one of these days, sigh. Mela returned Colossal and stared one last time at Charlos and Ash. Quote. One of these days. She repeated to then turn around and start to walk away. Just what is her problem? Iono asked. I don't know. Team Star has been pestering everyone for pretty much no reason during years. Nemona said. Yeah, for no reason. Penny whispered. Well, let's forget all of this and focus on what you came here to do. Sarah said. I can't wait to see your battle against Grusha. Me neither. Let's get into it. Grusha said. Sure. But first, Ash walked to Charlos and stopped in front of him. I think you and I need to talk. R.O. He asked as the terrestrialize wore off. If I had to guess. Ash though for a moment. After hearing all that Mela said, I imagine you ran away because you think she lost her way, right? A.R. Charlos nodded. But you're still worried about her, aren't you? Ash asked and received another nod from the Armarouge. And you decided to battle against her alongside me. You want Mela to quit from Team Star and return to have a normal life and you want me to help you with that. Rouge. He gave another nod and this time knelt in front of Ash with his arms crossed over his chest. To think he still cares about her to that extent. Nemona said. That's so sweet. Iono squealed. Now that's Charlos for you. Penny thought with a smile. Maybe that girl isn't completely lost then. Grusha said. But what are you gonna do, Ash? Sarah asked. I think the solution is obvious. Ash said pulling out a poke ball and kneeling in front of the knelt Armarouge. Very well. Charlos, let's help Mela together. Arma. He shouted fist bumping the poke ball and getting himself absorbed and caught without resistance. Now. Let's only hope Mela wants to help. Ash said. A week later. How dare they? Mela shouted in her room of the Shadar base the day after Team Star found about the letter sent to the bullies. How dares Ketchum? How dares Charlos? How dares Penny? How dares that stupid school? How dares everyone to mess with me? As if it wasn't enough with that so-called monarch and his entourage of stupid traitors. Now those bullies are going to return to the academy. No, we have to do something, but what can we even do right now? Attention. Attention. Mela's Rotom phone suddenly ringed. This is the Team Star Grunt Carmen, from the CAF squad. I'm sending an emergency message to all the other bases. The CAF squad's base in under the attack of a weird Pokemon. Our leader Aria's doing her best to hold it down, but she needs help. We need help. And more problems. Perfect. Mela sighed. Shadar is on its way. She shouted to her phone and then ran out of her room. Everyone, we're going to the CAF base. She shouted to then get on top of her Starmobile while the Revavroom of the engine started up and drove to the CAF base. Being followed by Mela's grunts in their cyclizers, they made it to the base in roughly 10 minutes and found what appeared to be a quadrupedal Volcarona knocking out several of the CAF squad's fighting types. Rage Fist. Ari ordered her Anihilipay who took a jump to attack, but the Volcarona jumped as well and knocked Anihilipay out with a strong smack of its tail. What the heck is that thing? Ortega shouted arriving with his crew as well. Hey, Mela, how was your thing with Ketchum yesterday? Giacomo asked. Shut the hell up. Mela shouted. My dear friends, I think we should focus on our current problem. Atticus told them. You guys. Thank you for coming. Ari said running to them along Carmen. Our fighting types have been trying to attack that thing with stone edges, but they don't seem to be working. Not only that, but look at its movements. Carmen said while the Volcarona made another high jump and landed with a kick onto a grunt's crabominable, knocking it out. They're too fast and precise. Call me crazy, but I think that thing is a fighting type too. That's why our rock attacks aren't working. That could make sense, Ares said. I mean, it appeared here while we were practicing fighting type terrestrialization. So you're saying it was attracted by that energy? Atticus asked. I don't care what attracted it, I'm in a bad mood. Mela said, cracking her knuckles. And I'll let you know that somebody hired me for pest control. Mela said to then release Colossal, Oricorio and Houndoom. Shadar Hurricane. Houndoom used Inferno and Colossal used Fire Blast. Both aiming at Oricorio, but before the dancer was hit, she quickly spun around using Hurricane and let the flames surround her in a fiery tornado that grew larger and larger as it approached the Volcarona, who tried to counter with a wild charge as he dove into the tornado and tried to reach Oricorio, but the Volcarona was quickly dragged in by the fiery winds, and after roughly a minute the hurricane dissipated and the Volcarona was now laying in the ground with several burns all over his body. Now that's better, Mela said as Oricorio landed on her shoulder. Now what do we do with him? Ortega asked. Hey, how do you know it's a him? Ari Aked. It could be a girl. Stop, we're not having this conversation. Giacomo told them as the Volcarona let out a huge roar and slowly approached the team. That thing is still willing to keep going. Mela simply stared at the bug. Is there anything on your mind, my lady? Atticus asked. You know there is. Mela smirked to then walk towards the Volcarona, who noticed this and tried to stand up, but it was too damaged to do so, so it simply stayed on guard on his four legs. Easy there, Mela said, approaching him. I'm not gonna hurt you. More than I already did. Sorry about that, but you needed to calm down, you look a little lost. Quote. Mela extended her hand and softly placed on the Volcarona's forehead. But all of us here are kinda lost in one way or another. She continued talking while the Volcarona seemed to be calming down. How about you come with me? She asked, pulling out a net ball. You look pretty strong and I can tell you don't give up easily, you'll fit perfectly with us. Mela softly pressed the ball on the Volcarona's head and she successfully captured it. Well, I've always wanted a Volcarona. But that is not a Volcarona, Ares said. And look around. Look at all the damage he caused. Do you really think we can control something like that? Not only I think so. Mela smirked. But seeing all this destruction that he made, I think I got a neat idea. We're gonna burn down the Naranja Academy into nothing but an ugly black. We'll turn the whole building to cinders. Present day. Slither wing. Use lunge. Mela shouted as the bug attacked Charlos and Ash's Skulldurge with his tail, while Ash and his group were fighting against the entirety of Team Star. I will show them. Mela thought. To Ash, to Penny, to Charlos, to him. I will show it to everyone. I won't let them stop me, I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter what happened in the past nor what awaits for us in the future, right here, right now, in this very moment. I'm not broken. To be continued. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts and reviews in the comment box. Now I will see you in the next video.